Now I'm recording. As I play political suicide. Oh, ooh. It's 7 seconds in. Maybe I shouldn't use that word right away.
Oh man, your
Oh,
your budding political career is over.
ooh, no, no. I'll never get elected in this country.
Hey,
Oh my god, we're streaming and recording and we're just it's just me laughing at my own stupid jokes. And they're like abysmally stupid jokes too. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Krieg Dominion. I'm Omar Krieg. One day, never going to be your future president. But I am the Lord and the Commander of the Krieg Dominion. So I suck it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. This is Alien. This is episode 43. What is passed along of our Along the Frontier campaign. We're nearing the very, very final end. It may even happen tonight. I don't know. With me, of course, are my wonderful players, Rodance, Kane, Luke, who have far more better insights into the political atmosphere, the political zeitgeist, if you will, than I ever will, because I personally think the asteroid should win every vote, period. The end. Literally, the end. Let's check in with everybody, see what's new and exciting for them. Meanwhile, I'll just be over here, I guess maybe reconsidering how politics could be restructured if I and my children had our way. And by children, I don't mean my kids. Rodance, what's new and exciting for you?
I kind of feel like the aliens are just a hive mind, so I'm not really sure they can even be referred to as children. But
Sure. I don't even know where to go with that one.
yeah, so I have hit the lovely joy of being a homeowner whose refrigerator my refrigerator has a refrigerator on top and the freezer on bottom.
Oh,
And
you
the
got one of
element that
those old
makes it
school
cold.
designs.
No, it's French door refrigerator, pull-out drawer freezer. It's nice.
Okay, gotcha.
Problem is in the bottom, there's this fan. This fan is what makes the cold air move through the refrigerator.
Okay.
The problem is all the air is dumped first into the freezer by the little air, like the condenser and all that stuff. So the freezer's always frozen. When the little motor in this little fan dies, the refrigerator portion of my refrigerator stops being a refrigerator. So
It
last
starts
time I
becoming a
looked in my
heater.
refrigerator, it was sitting at about 55 degrees. So I was supposed to have someone come out to fix it today. I've already prepaid the diagnostics, the labor, all the parts, everything. The parts are literally sitting next to the refrigerator. They canceled on me about an hour into the appointment and said they had to reschedule for later this week. And I'm like, I've worked from home today for you people. So yeah, that's been my life. The service appointment that I scheduled that I worked from home for canceled and rescheduled on me.
That's a rough one. It's for your refrigerator too. It's not like it's an oil change or something.
No.
That's rough. I'm sorry.
As far as oil changes go, I get 1 or 2 a year. I don't care what the mileage says, I get 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a vehicle from 09 that does not have 120,000 miles on it.
That is an impressive feat. Unless you have like well over 100.
No, I'm sitting at 118,000. I was just looking at it today, it's going, I probably should do the 120K mile maintenance early when I do the oil. My yearly oil change is coming up in another week or two, which is why I was thinking about it.
Yeah. I have 130 something thousand miles on this vehicle, but I've only been driving it for a year. Before that, somebody else owned it. When I got it, it was like 126,000 for being a 2006, I think.
Yeah, I bought a used lease car, so I bought a
nice.
09 car in 2012 with 15K miles on it.
Yeah, well, a lot of those lease cars have low mileage just because of the contractual
lease terms. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's real helpful as far as that goes. Luke, what's new and exciting for you, my friend?
Talking about miles and kilometers and whatever, I am going into becoming a skip driver, I guess. So that's currently my my employment options at this moment. So I'm doing that.
So you got something lined up, and you're going through I imagine the certification or training or whatever.
Yeah, for the skip driving, and I've got another avenue, but that's gonna have to wait a little bit. And I am still doing my classes to be eligible for college in September, so I'm pretty pumped.
Nice. So we got things back under control, or at least heading very solidly in that general direction.
Yeah, I just need a little bit of influx to make a couple weeks, and then I'm good.
All right. Well, best of luck, my friend. And other positive vibes, because, reasons. I don't know where I'm going with this. I have a great idea, and then like halfway through, I overthink the shit out of it, and I just sink it. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Kane, how about you? What's new and exciting?
New and exciting.
Ooh, okay. Listen, if you can only do one or the other, go for it. But if you can't do, again, see, this is another example of my absolutely abysmal humor.
I've only got. I realistically only have 2 weeks left of this semester, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
I've known since elementary school that I was not interested and would not enjoy college. And now, as a 35-year-old man, I agree with my child self. I hate college.
your little child self is running around going, "Told you so, told you so." Ooh, a bug.
Yeah, I understand your pain. I got my college out of the way right after high school, when I was still in the routine of doing BS.
Mm-hmm.
When I tried to go back for a master's degree, I bombed out on the first class. I didn't even make it past 6 weeks.
Wow.
I got accustomed to a system where I would show up on TDY and they'd be like, here's your learning objectives. This is what you're going to know at the end, and this is how you will be tested.
Mm-hmm.
And then spending all day on that topic every day for like 2 weeks, just learning some shit and then being performatively tested on the way out. We knew exactly what to expect going in, going out. Schoolhouse is pretty standard. You could talk to people about it, you knew what to expect. I think the thing that pisses me off the most is how every instructor is like a completely different college experience in every way, every possible standard.
Yep.
I'm like, great. So, like, how the fuck am I supposed to prioritize between these classes and figure this stuff out when you guys don't even agree on what college is supposed to be? Go fuck yourselves. Have some standards.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's the difference between you getting appropriate adult learning training from professional training developers in a corporate environment or a governmental environment versus university.
I mean, I had some pretty good teachers as well. The difference, of course, is when you look at hold on one second. I gotta take this phone call. You guys go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
I have 4 instructors. 2 of them I hate. 2 of them I like for drastically different reasons. Like, there's the one whose self-stated goal as an instructor is the exploration of ideas, which is cool.
Okay.
So he doesn't take anything graded very seriously. He just cares that people put in the effort and they put some thoughts in so he can have that discussion with them. And I'm like, great. I might actually remember something from this class because we're actually doing the whole synthesized thing that college is supposed to be about, I guess, maybe. The other instructor I really like doesn't take his class seriously because he knows it's not for anybody's, like, it's my math class, and he knows that nobody who's a math major takes that class and nobody cares, so he doesn't care. His goal
I'm
is
currently doing math.
his goal is to pass as many people as possible, however he has to do it without getting in trouble with the math department. And that's so totally different directions, and I like both of those instructors. The other 2 I have, I loathe for different reasons as well. I think the worst one is is one of those, well, it was harder in my day, so I'm making it hard on you guys to be fair. And I'm like, no, that's just institutional hazing. Best believe I know institutionalized hazing. Go fuck yourself. Like, it's a 300 series class. You guys should have all that. You don't need a syllabus. You don't need any of that. Fucking figure it out. And I'm like,
That's
you're
just
terrible.
incompetency masquerading as I've got tenure, screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So if I had a degree, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know, but the last one is just the last one just doesn't care if the students are
Weaponized incompetence.
The last one just likes to listen to himself talk and doesn't even teach the curriculum.
So, if I had a degree for the amount of time I spent in high school, I'd have a doctorate. Um, so when I had to do my upgrading to like even a GED level, I had to do like all the math and stuff like that, and I had to start at like 10th grade, and I'm doing a semester's worth of work in like 6 days. Um, the current record apparently is 3 weeks, but I'm set for like about a 6 or 7 day span to finish it. And when you're given like a proper expectation as to what you need to accomplish, it's so much easier than just being like in front of a class or behind some person talking about like what it is that you have to like accomplish over the course of like 3 months.
Sorry,
So much
guys.
easier.
I'm going
Yeah.
to be. I might be a moment.
Or
Some
is
slight
everything
technical
okay?
issue. Yeah, everything's fine. I'm got to handle something. And it's not something I can hold off on. So bear with me. I'll be here as soon as I can.
Okay.
Yeah, like knowing what you're supposed to learn, knowing what your learning objectives are, and knowing what pace it's supposed to come in, and having
Hmm.
like an idea of how that stuff is supposed to be tested, you can prepare for it. You can target what you need to learn for it.
Oh yeah, I'm decimating this class, and I need to decimate this class and 11, grade 11. I don't know what the equivalency is for you guys, but like 11 2, which is the second vocation, whatever, and then a 12th grade class before September starts, or like 25 days before September starts. Otherwise, I just don't get my admittance. But like, she gave me the book and said, like, here you go for it. I'm like, okay. Then I set my goals, and then that was it.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember. Is decimate to reduce by 10% or to leave 10% remaining?
I think it's to
Decimate.
eliminate 10%.
Yeah.
That's a, it's one of those words that people use, but there's actually a different definition of it that
Yeah,
isn't
but
the common usage of it.
Yeah, because
Sorry, it's just the word was funny to me
that was the
yeah.
because I've
legion punishment. Yeah,
mhm.
Oh. I guess I'm not decimating in the sense that I'm septimating.
kill one in every 10 of a group of soldiers or others as punishment for the whole group. Yeah,
Oh wow.
that was the Roman historical usage of decimate.
I am not using that word ever again. Thank you guys. Also, wouldn't that imply that if you're like decimating the enemy team, you're just doing really badly, or your kill death ratio just kind of sucks?
Well, I mean, if you look at context of mass battles, right? If you kill
Uh,
10% of a force and you've injured more than 10%, and they've got to deal with their logistical problems that brought them there in morale, you probably scored a victory.
well, yes, okay. If it's a huge battle and you did a decimal on them, sure. If you're like a 5-on-5 and one player killed like two people and he's like, we decimated them, you're like, well, that's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Things I come back
Or,
to.
or an understatement.
I mean, if you're in a 5v5 and you took out two people, that's 40%. I mean,
You've more than
you
decimated. If
yeah,
you want to
you've
think
more than
about
decimated
technical
them.
terms.
Yeah.
Saying that you only decimated them is being really polite to their poor performance.
All right. I might actually use this word again once I get a positive kill death ratio.
I might brush up on my shit talking once I'm a positive contributor.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I may have interrupted a little bit there, and I'm not sure if this situation is fully resolved enough for me to resume. I'm going to attempt to resume and hopefully not be interrupted or disrupted too much. That said, previously on Along the Frontier, there's some things that happened. We started down on level 6 and we have worked our way up to levels 2 and levels 3. We found the big bad, General Vaughn. She is no longer amongst the living. But most importantly, amongst all of that, other than her being demised, is as we left our last session, whoever was near her was the muffled sounds of "Can you get me out of here?" or something along those lines.
Hmm. I think that was Warren, Watcher, and Pike.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Pike made the observation. Warren made the observation. I don't think Watcher even rolled.
Watcher is down on the bottom, or not on the bottom, on the lower
No.
level, along with
No.
Wescott, I believe.
No.
Oh, don't you remember the iron grip of "You're not saving this woman"?
Oh yes, that's right. I did forget.
No, I very specifically sent everyone upstairs, so I'm sitting down by myself in TAC command with, you know,
Cameras and shit.
enemy technicians and Mr. Scary Blackguard over there.
I should
Yes.
probably make that roll for Watcher.
Oh wow, the dice
He's-
are significantly darker than I remember them being.
I think Watcher is still freaking out over the fact that he was denied by Warren.
Yeah. Got a bit of a tremble.
Oh, he's really freaked out about these guys were monsters. This is straight up fucking criminal now. I don't
I
wanna be
think I
here.
wonder if it's not so much a panicky tremble as it is something of a not necessarily rage or whatever, but just like kind of belaboring a point a little bit, just the literal stress of it all. You know what I mean? Like the adrenaline is up, he can't do what he's meant to do, and it's just making it worse. But
Watcher is freaking out in his own private world.
yeah. But yeah, so there is indeed the sound of the male voice, muffled, saying things along the lines of, "Can you get me out of here? Let me out. Something, something, something."
And that was in this area?
Yes, where your cursor is.
Okay. I pie the chart.
The chart. Love it. All right, give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I feel like I'm okay. Well,
No, take your time. You've been disturbed by something, and
yeah, it's my kid's mom.
It's okay.
Is apparently not too happy with the decision I made, but I'll deal with it as it comes. As you enter into, why am I not pinging now?
You are picking.
I'm not seeing a ping. That's weird. Or am
Oh,
I
you
just
can
my
see
ping?
it. I can see it.
Am I zoomed too far out? That is wild. I'm not seeing a ping. Okay, whatever. I'm not seeing any pings. I don't want to reload it because then I got to reset all my little mini windows, and I don't want to do that. There's a handful of them I got opened and set aside.
That's what you get for updating your drivers.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I deserve that. I deserve that. Anyway.
Weird that things are expected to work, after you update
I
them.
know, right? Let's see. So you are in the command suite, obviously. Oh, I forgot to mention that there was the smell of burning stuff coming from off in this direction. I'm assuming you also saw that ping. Let's see. It looks like a clean hotel room awaiting new guests in this area. The bed is all made up. Everything is nice, neat, put away. Except for the duffel bag that's on top of the bed. That is very clearly a military or USCMC duffel bag. And in that duffel bag, it's obvious there's a bunch of things in there. But the voice is apparently coming from the duffel bag. That look on Rodance's face.
Not there.
Let me see. Who's it? So who else down there? We got Pike. We've got Warren.
Warren's the one who's going in there.
Okay, Warren, go ahead and make an observation roll.
Okay.
I think it was established that I was busy staring into her eyes as she died.
That's
And I didn't care about the voice.
Yeah, that's fair.
Observation roll.
Yep.
All right, 1 success and 1 panic.
Roll that panic.
Yeah.
I love how you're like, hiya. Oh, you lose something. Oh, that was the other.
No.
That was the other window I needed to have open. Okay. Oops. All right. Let's see. This is Warren dropping shit. Every time I do get ready to do this, I see something like BDUs, and I'm like, that'd be funny, but that's not realistic. Let's see. All right. I know what you dropped, but we'll see if you pick it up. Uh, but you did get a success, so you recognize this voice, or at the very least, it seems familiar. I don't remember what Warren's position was throughout the previous time you were on this planet, but there was an android that you guys had interacted with.
Oh yeah. Not with yes, actually it was
He might have
who
actually
the hell was
interacted
it?
with Warren. Jesus Christ, that was like 6 names
I
trying to come out
mean,
at
we
once.
did put him in the back of the APC, so technically everybody interacted with him who was on the squad at the time.
Yeah, this is Maitland.
No.
His name is Maitland,
Oh.
except it's just his head in the duffel bag, and he's saying things. Can you please let me the hell out of here? This is ridiculous.
I mean, I'll poke it a couple times with my rifle, and then I'll
Ow!
open up the duffel bag.
I don't know if an android would actually say "ow," but he's clearly perturbed in a way that
Probably
androids can be perturbed.
Probably like rude.
Yeah, that's. I think instead of getting an "ow," he's like, "Well, that's just plain rude. Just open the duffel bag and pull me out."
All right, I will open the duffel bag with gusto and skill.
Yeah, it's clearly a severed android head, in some sort of like a. It's I'm trying to think like I'm thinking like cauterized neck, so that we don't get white goo everywhere. But it's probably not cauterized. It's probably sealed off in some way, some sort of collar or something.
Oh, there's
He's
a
got some
special
sort of
collar
disc
mount,
that
man.
he's
Yeah,
that's some disc that his head is mounted to, so you can put it on a shelf.
yeah, and so you can put it on a
No,
shelf
no,
or a table, and then have the actor poke their head through.
you mean the Futurama jars
jar.
of heads?
Well, I was thinking more like they did in the original Alien movie, where it was very. They tried to be sneaky about it, but you could clearly tell when it was a prop and when it was an actor. Not for nothing, they did a really, really good job for the time. uh, yeah. So you've got this android head in this duffel bag full of. Let's see. There's one of those silver urn things and scores of magnetic tapes. Some civilian clothing, and a bunch of biochemical vials. And of
Are
course,
these the
Maitland's
same?
head.
Are these the same biochemical vials as?
Yeah,
Sorry. The okay.
yeah. These are some of the same vials that you saw on what's her face's body.
How'd you end up like that?
It's a really long story. Could you just get us out of here?
Us.
Well, you and me. It's more than one, therefore us. Can we go?
All right, fine. Fine. I take the head. I sling and I take the head and I walk out.
Okay.
Pike, I have a visitor here from this room.
Oh, look, the toaster's still operational.
I'm sorry.
Apparently.
That is about as close as you can get to a racial slur that you could get with one of my kind. Please, it's Maitland. Never mind the fact that I don't have most of my body.
You know what? You're right. It is.
It's just so.
Do we need to
incredibly
find an
rude.
outlet for him?
I don't know.
We just need to get out of here.
Yeah, what's your rush?
The fact that this is not a good place to be.
Well, there's been a slight change in management, and I'll gesture to her shattered, beaten body.
Oh my, that looks quite final.
Yeah.
All
and
the more the
Blackguard don't
reason,
want
perhaps,
anything
for
to
us
do
to
with
get
this
out of
anymore.
here.
I have a question in Alita's particular perspective. Has anyone left any of the other rooms?
No, in fact, if anything, the smell of smoke still continues from over yonder.
I'll get on my comms. Octavia, I want you to transmit something to orbit to try to stop that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Transmit my camera feed.
Do. Snags camera feed, plugs it into the system, finds the channel up to orbit.
It's at about this point that you realize your comm signal is getting very, very, very spotty. and attempting to I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. You are attempting to get a hold of Badge's ship or the other ships in orbit?
No. We are currently using the information system that this base has interconnected with the rest of the planet, which includes communications up to orbit.
Okay, so who are you trying to get a hold of specifically?
All
All the ships.
wide broadcast.
Okay. The 2 smaller frigates are gone. There's significant clouds of debris nearby Badge's ship. The Tungu Along, or whatever the other Blackguard ship was, is probably reliably the only ship in orbit at the moment. Badge's ship is on flames and coming down.
Okay. I mean, but she broadcasts it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whatever you want to broadcast can be broadcast. What you will note is that the signal strength to the Badge's ship is very, very, very weak and spotty because of the ionosphere.
Yeah, if a bad ship is in the middle of making a crash landing, there's no real point of talking to it.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Pike doesn't know any of that. He just knows he's being broadcast. And he's looking at the body and says, "Criminal's been apprehended. Nobody has to share this punishment. We're just looking to leave. Nobody else needs to die. This data needs to go back. The rest of the traitors need to be purged, and we can purify the Marine Corps. Be poised to defend the UA." You can take me off. You can take me off the air, Octavia.
Click. So I have it set up so I can hear what anyone says back, but I'm not transmitting up right now.
What you do get is, sorry, I was looking through some of my notes. I want to clarify. So you're broadcasting that basically that Vaughn is dead. Let's clean up this shit and go clean out the rest of the Marine Corps. Something along those lines.
Like we got the criminal. Nobody else needs to suffer her fate. Let's just go be a good, happy Marine Corps together because this is stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
I guess I'd like to make a manipulation roll.
Okay. I'm just wanting to make sure that I've got everything in order. All right, go ahead and make your roll. Three successes and a panic. 4 successes and a panic.
Well, let's see. You know what? I'm going to trigger overkill, but this is how I want it. This is how I'm thinking this works. So he says his message, and he tells her to take him off the comms. And then he waits like half a second, and he gets really fucking angry because he can't do anything else to stop in orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to stop the fight in orbit, and he can't, so he's just mad. So he's going to just like stalk out, and he's going to head across the hallway looking for shit to break or people to murder.
Okay.
He's leaving this whole Maitland situation. He's just abandoning Warren at this point. He just needs to get some rage out.
So you're equaling like a flee kind of situation. Flee and break.
I would call it flee. I think it's stalk and break.
Yeah. And so for the manipulation, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I was trying to click on the other thing here.
I'm just going to click this little button. Okay, go away.
Yeah, I'm going to need to get a chance to do a command roll on Heath.
Let's see.
Because I can see your camera. So
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. It also probably would be good to let Pike just blow off some steam though. Because this whole thing is frustrating for him.
Does this group of people here see Pike storm out of there with like gore on him?
Oh, probably. But I think they're a bit kowtowed by the fact that Wright is down there with her own weaponry pointed directly at them.
To click. Hey, Warren Watcher, you should go back up right.
Got it.
Can't leave her sitting in there down there by herself with that many people to keep an eye on.
I'll walk up to the door to Hyperdyne in my rage. Does it open,
Yeah,
or is it
No, no,
still
no.
sealed?
Let's be clear. I opened the door
sure. Yeah, it
because
opens.
this place still belongs to me.
Yeah, it opens, and you're hit with a wave of smoke as a person that I don't think you've ever seen before is actively grabbing files and papers and discs and things of that nature and shoving them into a trash can and burning them.
I
Oh,
found
by the
someone to be
way,
mad at.
Really good for
click,
him.
click. Fires. The sprinklers in the ceiling go on.
Ah, yeah. At this point, he becomes incredibly frustrated because now he can't destroy the stuff he was trying to destroy.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just walking straight up to him and beating him to death. I don't care who he is. I'm overkill. I'm an overkilling Pike. Like,
Oh, I closed the door behind him so the civilians don't see this.
They probably hear some of the sudden screams, but I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. Go ahead and reduce your stress or whatever it is that Overkill does, or Merciless does, or whatever it is that Pike does when he kills somebody. You just
yeah, he's not even gonna grab the rest of the evidence that this guy was trying to burn or like search the bucket. He's just beating this guy to death and then like walking through the doors and looking for more people to murder.
that's it. It was just him. Everybody else is gone. The rest of those suites do appear to be. Well, let me double check my notes. I'm pretty sure they're just going to be empty and nothing special. Let's see.
Can I take an opportunity to fuck with Wright as Warren?
I guess you could. I think the bigger question would be why at this point, but whatever.
This is faint sound of like gurgling, screaming in the background, and Warren's like, "Oh man, I gotta fuck with Wright. Well, I got the time. Let's go."
Yeah. Oh, if ever there was a time to have a wartime pranking, that's somebody's being savagely beaten to death.
In the background.
PSC right. You see that door over there at supposedly the Geholgod suite. I can't pronounce that at all with my intelligence. But anyways, go in there, see if you can find anyone, bring them into this general assembly.
Okay. Let's see.
Geholgod, that's the one.
Yep.
Oh, hey, can we get a Watcher's token brought over so we can stand here next to Warren?
Yes. Oop. Let's see.
Oh, he's trapped inside the wall.
Oh, he is in the wall.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. We're good now.
Let's see. Yeah. So when Wright goes in, there is a commando in there. He is currently, along with his weapon slung over his shoulder and everything, but he's carrying a case of glass vials. You kind of catch him off guard. He's like, "Oh, well, this is awkward."
What do you got there?
Stuff. And I want to remind you, this is a blackguard.
I know.
Yeah, this is a artificial, whatever the fuck, artificial womb soldier.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Major Arnold told them to stand down.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to fight us, but it doesn't mean he's not going to loot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that maybe he said, fuck that shit, and does whatever he wants to do. There's always that option.
He could. Keeping kind of a trained eye on him, can you go into the General Assembly with the other civilians and technicians?
He wants you to make a manipulation roll to see if you convince him.
Okay. So, I can see her camera too, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, Major Arnold, what's your last name? Come here.
It was Major.
I point at his person.
Major Kalige, but yeah.
Major Kalige. Is this one of yours? And I'm pointing to the I put Anita's camera up.
Yes, that's one of mine.
I think you should tell them to come back somewhere else because we have to go clear that level of civilians.
He says, soldier so and so, whatever name rank. I'm not gonna make up one. Spears. Why don't you put that stuff down and follow the young Marine there?
Private inconsequential. Put that shit down and follow the other person.
Private no name extra.
Yeah.
Put that shit down.
I just key up and go, yeah, lead. I handled that.
Okay.
They should be following along here in a moment.
Yeah, and he'll come out into the area.
Private letter pen.
Letter pen.
Anything else in this area?
So you've got like this is where a bunch of like top scientists and specialists were housed. There's a bunch of dead bodies. There's a handful of dead bodies.
In here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This place has been ransacked, probably by that blackguard that you just saw. That would be a reasonable assumption to make. But there doesn't seem to be anything much of much importance or value other than that case of glass vials that he just had. That is now sitting on the floor next to the door.
Okay.
Because, he was basically made to... And I imagine maybe he gave up his weapon or something. I don't know.
No, he gets to keep his weapon.
In that case,
He gets to be a secondary guard. I have uses for these people if they're not going to complain.
Well, there you go.
I made it. Okay. Let's see here. Lieutenant Corporal Warren, I checked the room. That was the only person in there.
Yep.
Good job. Busy work.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll look. There's another entire suite you can make Alita check.
I was gonna say Pike has left this office and he's on his way down.
Oh, did Alita grab the vial or the container of vials out of the Gulagod suite?
Yeah, I guess she would have to. Yeah.
It's not up to me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
She comes out and she turns right back around and she's like, "That's a good idea." Goes right back and grabs him.
Yeah, thank you, Wescott.
You just make a nice, tidy little pile of research that we are planning on taking with us right here, next to the central lift door.
I see that there's some interaction at this suite, so I walk up to the Wayland-Yutani suite, and at
I
this
open
point,
the door for him.
I step in.
I close the door.
If you come to me with your arms up, I won't murder you with my bare fucking hands. If you'd like to entertain me, hide somewhere. Make this fucking fun. I'd like to roll manipulation.
Sure, go for
it. Be still the beating heart.
Yeah. I just imagine some giggling as they hide.
You don't hear anything in response.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna search the office and look for people to beat to death.
All right. I'll make it easy for you. No one's here. 2 of those 3 rooms look like they were basically in the stages of either being reset for other occupants or have been vacated in the past. One of the rooms has let's see. There's a picture of Ganon in one of the rooms.
Oh.
And there's a stack of 20,000 Wei dollars and a VP-70 pistol in the pillowcase. Those are all in the pillowcase.
I will take all of that.
I mean, we're adding it to our stack of loot.
Sure. Mm-hmm. What you do with it? I'm just the GM, man. I'm not here to judge.
No. All right, so there was the picture, the pistol, and the stacks of cash, right?
Yeah. Go ahead and make a wits or something roll to see if you can piece this together. Yes, I know. I'm asking the dumb jock to make a smart move. Oh, hey, look, you got one. This was Ganon's room.
Yeah.
The other 2 were occupied by other people that you guys have not interacted with, except for one whose brains are now on the floor of this very floor.
Oh yeah.
The lady that you shot because she shot somebody else and tried to do the whole hostage thing.
I'm gonna stick
that went really well for her.
I'm gonna stick this pillowcase of stuff into my soul pack.
Okay. Yeah, you go ahead and mark that you now have 20,000 Wei dollars and a VP-70 pistol.
Well, you'll have to give me the pistol.
Do I? I'll do it later. Remind me later. I'm not gonna do it now. Wescott, you're in the tax center, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you roll me something like observation or comms tech and see how many crazy successes you get?
Okay. Um. Do. Do I need to add my observant to this?
Sure. I mean, you're actively trying to monitor various
Excuse me,
things.
my watchful.
Yeah, you're trying to monitor a wide variety of things from the tac center.
Cool.
What's going on in orbit?
Add a 2
What's going on the
modifier to
surface of the
that.
island? What's going on inside the rig?
Do I
Okay,
need to push? Do I need more? Or is that good enough?
you tell me. This is your trying to pay attention to a wide variety of things. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's a total of 6 successes. So the first one that you're going to get is the obvious. Badge ship is on fire, burning, and coming down, and it looks like it's going to land in the ocean not far from where you guys land.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a nice on one of your
Where's
screens.
my drop ship?
Just stand by. Get in there. Although that's a great question. So you've got
I
like
know
this nice.
exactly what's about to happen as soon as I say the ship's going down, and the answer is, where's my drop ship? And it's gonna be from Heath.
Yeah. Yep. So your dropship has been flying sorties, and that's Eckhart, obviously. Eckhart's been flying missions and trying to support Badge's ship in its fight. The Tungu Along, or whatever that Blackguard ship's name was, has bolted. It's left. Once the broadcast went out that Vaughn was dead, it's like, well, I guess it's time to cut losses and get the hell out of here. We scored a victory by killing that ship. Badger's ship is down, or coming down. It should be down sometime in the next half hour. There is another ship coming down. Eckhart's ship is one of them. There's a second ship similar in size, mass, whatever, coming down also at about the same time.
Cool. I add Eckhart to my IFF for my anti-aircraft guns that I have on top of my station now, and I interrogate the other vehicle coming, or the other aircraft. Who are they?
It's a drop ship, somewhere between the Cheyenne and the one that you guys have. It doesn't appear to be armed itself, and it has no IFF or transponder signature.
Cool. I ping them.
Nothing. They're not
Cool.
responding.
I shoot in front of them.
Other than the obvious, oh shit, they're shooting at us, they continue coming down.
Eckhart, do you know who's in that other ship before I shoot it out of the sky?
No, where the hell did they come from? That was her response. I can tail them, I can get in closer and maybe get a look at them.
I mean, they don't appear to be showing as an armed vessel, so I mean, sure, but if I'd rather shoot them down while they're still in AA coverage, if nothing else.
Where are they?
By the way, I
coming
have
down to?
guns, by the way.
Oh,
Where
you
are
have
they
guns,
coming-
that's good.
Where's it coming in?
Its approach appears to be similar to the Badge ship. It looks like they're coming in to land near or on the island.
Do you want us to move up?
I don't know any of this. That was just me out of character.
Oh, well,
Okay.
then
Yeah.
shush you. You don't know that.
Well, I was
So,
asking questions
No, I know.
that might be interesting that the smart person might think of.
I'm fucking with you, man.
Cool. If she doesn't know who they
Let me
are
play
and
my
they're not
moron in peace.
identifying themselves, if there is time for her to visually identify it, then yes. Otherwise, I'm shooting it out of the air. I frankly don't care who it is. They're in the middle of a war zone and it's their own damn fault.
Eckhart comes back a moment later, and gives you I can't think of the right words I want to use, but basically what you get is this is the equivalent of it looks like it was a military craft at one point, but it's been converted to civilian use.
I go switch over to the civilian emergency channel. Yo, bitch, who the fuck are you? Answer before I shoot you.
There's only one
Except,
thing.
in more polite language.
What would the response be here?
I mean, I literally shot across the bow and then sent a military vessel to fly by it. If it doesn't realize it needs to talk or it's going to die, then that's on them at this point, because I followed standard rules of engagement
Yeah, no,
by
you're
checking their identity, giving
you're
them
good.
a warning shot, and sending someone to check.
You want to roll manipulation? See if you can get any. They do what you want without asking for anything in returns.
The answer is hello, I'm alive. Like, I'm not expecting much here. They just
I,
need to learn to talk.
Yeah,
I
is it
mean, you
badge
might.
man?
I
I
mean, you
don't
might be.
consider
not
this a
badge 'em?
manipulation. They either talk or they die. To me, that's not a manipulation.
You make another comms tech at a -4.
So only 12 dice.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
All right, so here's what happens. This thing gets almost right up to the last moment of either talk or I'm shooting. You pick up a faint, or not faint, but you pick up a pointed, let me rephrase that, a directionally based communication burst
Tight
to
beam.
the island. I mean, it's not quite a tight beam, but let's call it a tight beam for lack of a better word. They let off a quick tight burst, drop super low, and 180 out.
The answer better be something I like, or I'm still shooting them.
Well, go ahead. What's the answer? What's the question?
Who are you, and why are you here?
Oh,
That's what
they
they got
did it.
asked several times.
Yeah, they did not
What was
send
their
the.
tight beam?
Yeah, they didn't send it to you.
Who did they send it to?
I'll give you. This would be your second success there. They sent it to what looks like a small. It's a. Hold on. Let me do this. There we go. Scenes. Player. Paint. And then make sure you guys can see everything on here. I think you can, but it's okay. Good. It looks like I don't know if you could. I'm hoping you can see my ping because I can't tell if I'm pinging or not. But
I'm still
The
loading
map
in.
hasn't loaded. It's
You gotta
still
give-
loading.
You got to give us a second to get over.
my bad. Oh, I may need to drop tokens. I don't know.
No, we can see it now. At least
Okay.
I can. It takes a moment to load whenever you switch.
Yep. It looks like the tight beam blast went in this general direction.
Cool. I shoot it down.
Okay. Make your what is it? Heavy machinery attack or range
Oh.
attack?
It's
Dear,
Comtech.
this is Comtech plus remote, so I get bonuses.
Yeah.
Shoot it away.
Yeah, there's going to be very little of this thing left. Let me go double check to see how many bonus dice I get from using remote.
I think it's 2. It's the
Yeah.
standard for a lot of these.
Yeah, it's 2. Now let me make sure I don't have any others that also apply.
And you know what's funny? Like, if you shoot this down, you can comms Edgar and ask her to rocket strafe the crash site just to make sure.
The only way to make sure. All right.
Take 'em
You
out.
track the rail guns. I'm gonna roll some dice. See what we can do here. So I'm kind of GM hand waving this one. So
There is no sympathy for these idiots. They are gone.
I did get one success.
Mm.
So you get like 3 of the turrets to fire. 2 of them miss. 1 of them hits. It's a solid hit though. It sends it flying into the surf. It crashes into the ocean somewhere, miles and miles and miles away. It falls off your sensor track. Eckhart does a flyover of the crash area, finds some wreckage, doesn't really find much else. Reports back, says, "I think that's that." And then about that point, the fucking bad ship lands in the ocean, because that probably took like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, if the bad ship lands, it lands.
It didn't land. Well, I guess technically it landed.
There is a
Missile
difference
Missile
between
breaking
a
is
con-
landing.
So there is a difference between an uncontrolled crash landing and a controlled emergency landing. What are we looking at here?
Okay, that's fair. This is
A belly flop?
Yeah, it's pretty much belly flop. That's a great.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna dub it so that it lands. It doesn't explode and all that. It lands just offshore, probably a mile out, where it's still deep water, but not deep enough to submerge it entirely. There's
This is a
plenty.
very shallow sloped ocean then.
This area might be, or at least maybe there was a sandbar or something. But you know, it's well, it's a volcano, so probably, maybe not necessarily a full mile, but like half a mile.
Well, there's a difference between the volcanoes that form like this and the
Yeah,
volcanoes
and
that form
we
like
obviously
that.
have the caldera, which so it's gonna have some of this, so it means it's gonna come out. It can come out in a variety of different slopes.
It depends on the geology of the
Yeah,
area around it.
yeah, but the short version is this: the bad ship crash lands about half a mile to a mile out. It's not a pleasant ride to get out there. I mean, it's filled with holes and smoking and burning and people attempting to get out. Uh,
Um,
what would you like to do? Because I'm kind of winging it from here to some extent. I'll be honest. I don't have a lot prepared for this particular route. Um, but I'm okay with kind of ad libbing a little bit, and this probably
cool.
being our final wrap up for the season
Can
as we
I?
continue for the next hour or two.
So I have a number of drop ships upstairs, right?
Define upstairs. Oh, up on the top deck.
Yeah.
There,
So
yeah, there's definitely some.
I have
are you
civilians, don't I? And I
Yeah,
are
also
oh
have
you
yeah, you
black
got a
guard.
bunch.
are you going to tell any of us any of this?
Yeah, after
I
I
love how you
summon, like
phrase
I will
that.
summon you guys back down, of course. But
I just want to
they actually
roll
would have been informed
observation.
before
Are you gonna
Badger's
leave it to
ship
a
came
single?
down.
Sorry.
But depending on how long the whole I'm shooting down the anomalous ship takes, I may not have had a chance to tell them. But they definitely would know in the hour between first contact and bad ship coming down.
Yeah. So yeah,
Can I?
I think from
Um,
your initial, here's another ship that we don't recognize, and Eckhart coming down until the bad ship crashed down, touching down. I think that's fair to say that's probably been about an hour.
mhm.
And the fact that it took so
Cool.
long means that the bad ship definitely came down under some power, if not all power. And so they were able to avert it from being a straight up slam into the ground. But there was absolutely some litho breaking involved. Just
Oh,
because I like using that word.
here's an idea. This is, out of character. This isn't Pike. Like, we can use Pike's a pilot, weirdly. And we know that Eckhart's flying around. And we know that the Blackguard have
At least a pilot or two somewhere.
well, we know that the Blackguard themselves aren't fighting us. So I feel like we convince the Major to provide security and assistance to us.
They need
Um,
extra PR points after accidentally siding with Vaughn.
well,
They can come help save people.
we use him to control these prisoners, right? We move them up towards the flight deck, so it's easier to just like corral them in a spot where if they get uppity, we could just gun them all down.
Yeah, that is definitely one way to handle it.
We put them in a corner. The Blackguard are guarding them. We keep one of our Marines in that guard cordon at all times, and we use some of the Blackguard for help, for like manual labor help, so we can rotate our dropships. I can steal one of these ones, and Eckhart can fly the other one, and we can go back and forth to the crash site with lines and pull up survivors and bring them to the platform and just keep trading back and forth so we can drop them off on the top deck.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that takes the better part of the rest of the day. Storm rolls in overnight, significantly hampering your guys' rescue efforts, but by the time night falls,
This is a planet with a civilian presence. We use the civilians.
for rescue operations.
Standard search and rescue is present on any place with a major population.
Well, yes,
which
but this
already been
facility is
proven.
not exactly a standard.
I'm not talking about this facility. I'm talking about this entire planet.
Oh yeah, you could get other people from the rest of the planet to help out. There
They
are a
saw this
lot of
happen.
there's quite a few questions from various entities on the planet's surface. Specifically things like what the fuck is going on in orbit, or what went on in orbit, and what is going on with the Marine Corps and all of that.
I'd like to, before we contact the civil authorities, I'd like to try to, in the first trip out to the ship, get Badgeman. Is Badgeman a survivor?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, in my head right now
Roll a d100.
I'm role playing various different routes here of who survives and who doesn't from the support crew. So here we will roll for him. Okay. Let's see. And what? Okay, fine.
I feel like Badge Man is not the kind of guy to take a lot of risks in a ship combat. So
Yeah,
I
so
can imagine him hunkering down somewhere really solid in the ship for the fight.
yeah. So Badgeman is fucked up a bit. He's got plenty of bruising cuts, scorched clothing, things of that nature, but appears to be all there as he eventually comes through the facility on a stretcher. Uh, there is a duffel bag. I'm sorry, not a duffel bag, a body bag, however, that comes in that wasn't entirely sealed off. Tom Stevenson was inside it.
Okay.
Good. I don't have to come up with.
You don't have to have that ridiculous conversation now.
No, I don't have to find a way to dispose of the body later. It's great. The only reason he was still alive to begin with is because I assumed he was one of Badge's people.
He is. You just don't know the whole story.
Doesn't matter. She is paranoid and angry.
No, this is totally
spied
fair.
on.
This is totally fair. Wait until we get the behind the scenes or the deleted scenes on the DVD release of what was really going on with Stevenson.
No, I'll look at him in his stretcher and I'll be like, all right, Giuseppe, I need to know. Are we involving civil authorities or is this whole thing staying hush hush? We can get more survivors out if we engage their help, but if this op needs to stay cloak and dagger, then I mean the rest of the survivors in the ship are your bodies. It's your choice.
In between some coughing and other I've been grievously injured sounds, he wants this to be a fairly quiet operation. As quiet as one could make for having there been an orbital engagement and a ship landing on the planet in flames.
All right. We're not engaging civil authority, but we will grab some of the flight crew from his ship so we can get more of these drop ships running in rotation.
Sorry, I was answering a text from my kid. You're grabbing what ships you can from Badge's ship?
No, we're gonna make sure to grab some extra pilots from Badgeman's ships so we can get more of the drop ships at this platform going so we can rescue more people.
I don't know how many people in total are on Conestoga. I imagine probably at least a few hundred, if not more.
It can vary anywhere from just a platoon and mother up to like 500 people.
Yeah,
anywhere in that range.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I think what we end up seeing over the course of about a day, so by the next morning, everybody is extricated from the ship that is alive. There's probably more than plenty of dead bodies that's still inside the superstructure that it's going to take quite a while to get to.
I mean, that's not my problem.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's entirely on the Secretary of Defense's agency to get those people out. You do have Badge kind of seated up in a makeshift field hospital sort of deal. So he
Watcher is definitely going to the field hospital, is trying to hide from this fucking psychopath.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, he's probably doing it just because like this is the only area that he has any sort of control over the outcome or whatever happens. That he can actually go and stick needles in people and try to put people back together. Because at least that makes sense. Whereas those fucks over there, not so much.
Fucking crazy assholes. We can convert the entire office floor.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's already kind of set up in some. Well, I mean, you got the hotel vibe, so it's not terribly difficult to convert it over to at least a triage.
Yeah, we can drag beds and tables together to put people on, and we can use the large rooms as like emergency surgical suites.
There are, through the course of the evening and into the late hours, some of the Blackguard approach and indicate that there are probably some what I want to use, biological issues that need to be addressed throughout the rest of the facility.
The major gave me his word that he's going to work with us, right?
Yeah.
Then I trust him explicitly.
Yeah. So half of the Blackguard disappear into the rest of the facility.
I'll go with him.
And every now and again, you'll hear some gunshots, maybe some screams.
Actually, no, I can't go with them because I'm busy flying for the day. I will send Warren with them.
Yeah. Warren, go ahead and make a I'm gonna kind of summarize this a little bit. Go ahead and make a range combat, and then make an armor roll.
Yeah. Um. One, two, three, and a panic.
All right. Oh, that panic is another dropped item. Okay. Go ahead
And then I'm doing an armor.
yeah, roll an armor just to see what kind of roll.
Did I see it coming or no?
No, but you'll get your full armor.
Okay, give me a second. And is it armor piercing or
Standard.
Okay. Oh, that is the wrong way to do that.
Yeah,
give
that's
me 1
a
second.
lot. Did you roll double armor?
-6. There it is.
Oh, you used your shield, didn't you?
No.
Okay.
If I didn't see it coming.
Yes. All right. So you're gonna take 2 points of damage.
Yeah.
You do kill a Xeno. Full-on Xenomorph drone. It pops out of like a some sort of like service closet sort of thing. Like a little tech room or something, like a steam room or some shit. It pops out of one of those, surprises the shit out of one of the blackguard that you're with, takes him down. It slaps you around a bit, but you manage to kill it before it kills you. You're injured. It hurts like a motherfucker. I don't know how many hit points you have left after that, but you did bag a Xeno.
4.
Okay, yeah. So you took about a third. You watched a third of your life get slashed away by the talons of a Xenomorph. But you did kill one, and now its acid is eating through some of the floors.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's other reports through the night of other Blackguard teams making contact with and defeating, destroying, killing various other Xenos in their the different stages of evolution or whatever you want to call it. By morning, effectively, what we have is a more or less pacified facility, pacified island. The Black Bart has been located, or somebody tells on General Vaughn and rats it out that the Black Bart is parked in that area that I pinged earlier. On this map, it's somewhere in this. I'm gonna go with here. If it's not there, it's here.
This is the hangar.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, the bigger one is the hangar?
The squarish looking one is the hangar.
Okay, yeah, the smaller one. Yeah, so that's where the Black Bart is. It's somebody's got it's down there, it's being staged, and it was being prepped for use when you guys first hit the island. But obviously with Vaughn's demise, it's just a Saturday the 14th with Black Armor waiting.
Yeah. So we have another ship. All right. So Octavia, if you work with management and send a signal for a pickup so we can get these prisoners and our survivors out of here. We need another ship to arrive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do whatever the process is to call up SecDef HQ and tell them that we would greatly appreciate a ship under their flag with utmost urgency, as there are prisoners needing their security.
Yeah, you get a ping back. It takes several hours.
I'm sure I'm basically plugging Badgeman into the network so he can ask for this.
Yeah. It takes several hours before you get a ping back, but you do get one. That there is a ship en route. En route, be there in the next 12 to 36 hours, something along those lines. This was supposed to end a different way. I'm not going to end it that way. I don't think this particular end really makes sense with most of our narrative. So what effectively happens over the next couple of days as you guys are going through the facility, clearing everything out. This is as Marines, you would expect this sort of post major action sort of thing. You've gone through, you've sequestered people, you've got people locked down. And then after the first day or so, give me 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, I figure after we do the day of flights and we've got everything set up and we're waiting for pickup, then yeah, the Blackguard team's rolling out. I'm making sure that our Marines are going with those patrols. Like we're working with the Blackguard.
Yeah. It's starting
Um,
to feel a little bit like it could actually return to one day being one big, happy, disgruntled Marine Corps family. Maybe one day.
Yeah, Pike gets, after Pike gets some rest after flying nonstop for a day, he'll also go on some of these secure patrols.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Pike is going to have to come down and yell at Octavia to also get some rest because she's having to babysit everything.
Yeah, so at one point there is something
Honestly,
of a...
because
Go ahead.
Pike is, I mean, he likes people, but he's also a terrible human being. He's probably going to show up with like some never sleep and nap relief for you.
Well, Octavia already sleeps half as much as anyone else does because she took the talent for it. So she's perfectly happy churning away on day 2. And day 2 is when you'd have to show up with some never sleep and nap relief for her.
Mm.
Like she already only needs to sleep every other day because of the talent.
At one point you get a report that there is something stupid large roaming in the jungles of the island. And
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Major Khalij is putting together a small fire team to go out and investigate this large creature.
Well,
I make sure he takes
have,
extra grenades.
I have a question.
You
I have a
might want to
question,
throw them.
Major.
Good luck, buddy.
I have a question, Major.
Yes. Gunny?
Do you know what's out there? Do you have suspicions of what it might be?
It is... If one refers to a chessboard, there's the queen and then there's the king. This, I believe, is the king.
So we're going on a hunt.
Yes. We have reason to believe it's off, any kind of gestures in this broad area out this way. I really hope that's pinging because I can't tell.
It is.
Because I have an idea that could save some lives here.
Huh? Carpet bomb it? Nuke it from orbit?
Warren. Let's see what
Just
was
send Warren.
Send
No.
Warren with a knife. I bid
Send
one Warren with a knife. With what forces do you declare defense? I can't
No.
speak.
Does Warren prefer Matt or Matthew?
Maddie.
Yeah, I guess at this point it's informal for Matt.
All right. Matt and I can scout it, locate it, and we can call in a rocket barrage on it. There's no need to throw any of your boys away.
Okay.
Considering it's in the open, right? So
Well, I mean, it's jungle, so
it's in the jungle.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to go find it in the jungle.
Various terrain elevation changes that will cause, not quite caves to form.
And it's no slander on your boys. This is what I do. I stalk and hunt.
Yep. All right, go ahead and give me observation from Warren, and then on success, this will be just like spotting. So like you guys are doing your spotting stuff earlier. Let me find what I'm looking for really quick in here first.
He said it's been a couple of days, so your stress is gone and your health is back.
Yeah, you guys can reset your stress at the very least.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Eckhart is going to be greatly pleased that she's getting an air support call from Heath.
Yeah.
all right, so observation roll with my +2 for stalking or watchful.
Mm-hmm.
That is a wits. Yeah. 2.
Okay. You want to push that?
I do.
Because I believe every success you get 1 to Pike for his shot.
Yeah.
So it's a 5 successes.
So, also, since you are observing it at this point, oops, I guess I can just put it out there like that. What you're engaging. All right, so you got 5 successes, and I believe you add 5 dice to your shot.
Yep. Let's see if I can just take this thing down. Like,
Yeah,
or,
because I'm gonna
see
tell
if
you
I
right
can
now,
big game
if
hunt
you
this thing.
don't, he is going to charge you.
Guys,
How
there is no
far?
Pike taking it out. This is called they saw it. There's now an incoming airstrike.
Oh, sure, but I'm sure Pike wants to put a bullet in his brain.
Pike I mean, let's be real. Pike wants to test himself.
Yeah, and if he misses, then the missile will take it out. It's just if he misses,
So
or if he doesn't kill it in the first shot, it's going to charge his position.
How far are we?
Ostensibly, probably a couple 100 meters, or initially, I should say.
I mean, I could probably hit it from further out, but I don't want to just hit it. I want to hit it somewhere I think is vital.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a little closer will be helpful.
Yeah. So a couple 100 meters, no more than whatever the medium or moderate range, no modifier roll is.
Right. And then you got 5 successes.
Yeah.
this thing
Could have
is
done better.
several
I'm
bits-
sorry.
No, we're good.
Well, there's 4 successes on
okay.
his attack. Holy Christ, look at all those dice.
9 successes.
9 successes. So I think that's like 10 or 11 damage total, if not more.
That is 11 armor piercing.
Okay, let's see what we've got here.
If it doesn't die, I want to open up a shot too.
Oh wow, it eats every
dead.
bit of it. Yeah, it's dead.
It's dead.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You effectively get
Warren and I'm just imagining, right? Like Warren and I are just like we're slowly stalking you through the jungle. We're looking for like tracks and broken sticks for this big ass thing, and we see it, and we
you find an elevated position. I'm thinking too.
It's like the Jurassic Park scene, right, where he
Yeah.
unfolds the stock on the spaz, but it's just like Pike quietly like placing the rifle down and you quietly getting the spot and whispering like wind and stuff, and then I just take a single shot and we watch it just fucking fall down in the jungle.
Yeah, there's absolutely the green mist on this one as far as a large portion of its head, whatever its head might look like. This is of course the largest of the xenomorphs that I'm aware of, the Praetorian drone or whatever the fuck it's called.
I
Kind of
take
like
the
a
shot.
Carnifex.
We see the green mist and it fall over.
Yeah.
And I just like take I take a hand and I put it on Warren's shoulder and I'm like, Matt, we are fucking dangerous.
All right. I think what happens.
Let's go get it. Let's go get our trophy.
Go get the obligatory big game shot with the photo op.
Yeah, we're we got.
It's too bad you can't eat alien meat, right?
I take the camera off. I take my helmet off because that's where the camera is, right?
Yeah.
Then I put it down on a log facing where it's laying there so that we can get a still shot of Matt and I in the rifle, just like holding up one paw, basically being like, "Look what we did! Kill this shit."
I make sure to save several copies of their photos, knowing that they would be very excited.
Yeah.
And I secretly keep a video of the entire hunt, knowing that in a year or two they're going to appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we also
As like
see
an
the,
anniversary present.
Go ahead, Luke.
I wonder if the blackguard and the officer is like watching and being like, okay, come on, they can't possibly take that thing out.
No, I feel like that'd be awesome though. Like the major's in the command center with Octavia and she's watching it, so if we get fucked, she can call the airstrike in on top of us. So he's watching the stock and he's watching.
Yeah, we definitely
we
got a full on situation room thing going in the tac center.
Octavia's sitting there with popcorn because she knows better.
Yeah, I know.
She offers some popcorn to the major
right before the shot. Would you like some?
You need any? No.
I think we also have Eckhart
No.
kind of like in a like
Eckhart's in her in the air.
like orbiting in the dropship, just kind of flying over the area, just in case she needs to come down and scoop you really fast. I think what we get after a day or two past that is a handful of Conestogas show up. Or maybe like 1 or 2 Conestogas and a bunch of support ships, and it's a day-long process of getting ships down and back up to get everybody up.
I'm sure the prisoners are very happy because I'm not sure Octavia would have fed them. She probably watered the prisoners.
I think Wright would have brought it up, but
Octavia would have watered the prisoners. But the only person
you
who
gotta walk around with a garden hose and
Alita.
spray them down.
Yeah, I think Wright would have been kind of the humanitarian
if it
in that one.
works.
Yeah, Pike knows himself. He knows the rest of his psycho crew. He would have been like, Alita, your job for the next few days is to watch these prisoners. Do what you gotta do.
All right. At some point, we get Badge having a bit of a closed room meet with you guys. Watcher is there if Watcher wants to be there. I'm not going to make Watcher be there.
Let me ask this question.
Uh-huh.
Watcher would have, during this period, while he's working the med center and clearly Badge Guy is, in there as a patient.
Yeah.
He would have been like, do we consider this mission closed out? Have I been returned to you? Am I no longer attached to these guys?
Yes, you're done.
I want nothing to do with them anymore. They're all fucking insane.
Very well. We will get you back in my office as soon as we get all of this. And he does one of those broad arm sweeping motions, and then he's like, "Ooh, ow, 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 ow." Once we get all this, ow, shit, ow, done, ow.
Like, I'm glad I got to be part of this, but they're fucking animals, sir.
Sometimes you need a really big hammer for a really big nail. And the hammer doesn't need brains.
I guess not. It'd be
Speaking
great if I
of-
never saw them again.
Speaking of
So
hammers,
he will not be at the meeting.
Yeah. Speaking of hammers, I have a meeting with them to go to. I think so. This would be the funny part. So the rest of you wouldn't understand this as he walks in and he closes the door behind him. So, my bag of hammers. How was this mission? And like everybody else outside of this, like in the audience, the crew and everything, like they get in on the joke, but you guys are like, bag of hammers. What is he talking about?
Octavia probably
knife.
get it because she understands the reference to the appropriate related saying.
Yes,
And
but
she
you
would
wouldn't get
giggle
the
a little.
reference to exactly what had just transpired prior to that, which is the funny part for me. Don't take this away from me,
Okay.
Ricky Bobby. I'm sorry, go ahead, Renance.
I like to think that when he comes into the room, like we were already there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Pike is too busy telling the fishing story of us taking down the Praetorian.
The one that didn't get away.
Just like as if nobody here watched it, right? Like he's like, so as soon as we crest the top, like just like he's super excited about that hunt. And that's what Badge
I keep
interrupts.
several copies of that because I'm totally giving it to them in a year
I
from
think
now.
you know what? I think that's the perfect end to the season. Is Badgeman walking in, saying something about speaking of bag of hammers, and then the camera cuts over to Pike talking about, and there I was, in the jungle, cresting the mountain. There it was. I lined up my shot, and that's where it ends. Rolls credits right there.
We needed to kind of like pan to every like character a little bit, and then kind of go like,
we can do that.
happy ending.
Yeah. We can, but not quite the '80s sitcom ending where everybody's laughing together. It's separate,
it has to
individual.
be.
Like everybody's laughing, but it's all individually laughing.
It has to be sitcom-y though.
No, it can't be. I hate
Yeah,
that shit.
I'm pretty
I
sure
hate that shit
Octavia
so
hasn't
much.
slept in a couple of days at this point.
So that's what we get. We got Octavia somewhere with her boots up and crossed at the ankles.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, somebody provided me with an inappropriate amount of never sleep and
She's
nap
finally
relief.
coming down off of that.
nap relief. So she's probably still over in the corner on day number 4 with coffee and never sleep. And yeah. She's definitely having the paranoid eyeing people, but she makes Pike sit in between her and the rest of them so she doesn't do anything.
We get as our official final shots, post credits, if you will. We get a shot of the Conestoga and the support ships leaving orbit, and almost at the same time, at a different angle, we get another ship coming in, some sort of civilian transport ship coming in, flying down to the island, and from various parts, as the ship does like a flyby over the island, we see from various different angles a bunch of different people coming out of the jungle, and they're all heading towards a centralized clearing that the ship lands in, and they all come on to the ship, and standing in the gantry or the doorway.
Wait, hold on a second.
Uh-huh.
SecDef didn't nuke the site.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
This
No.
is why we're going to the other side of the known universe.
Yes, let me
Mhm.
have this. This is my transition moment here. That sounded
Okay.
weird, actually, but so Um, standing in the
Please
doorway.
transition for us.
Yeah, standing in the doorway of this ship as it's taking on these people is a woman with a blonde hair, kind of a bowl cut, like it comes down just to her chin, and it's like super sharp all the way around. And she's standing there. You can see she was wearing a hood, but the hood has come off. And one of the guys coming up off of the ground into the ship comes up, and she says, "How did we fare? Did we find Maitland?" They say, "No, ma'am. Maitland's lost to us. It looks like we're on our own for the rest of this." She says, "Very well. Let's get aboard." And then our final shot is the camera pulls away from the ship as the door ceiling as the last of the people board and the ship lifting off and heading off into space. No. I can't do much more than that. I'm gonna get copyrighted.
If Devoid becomes a cockroach to our second campaign, they're not gonna have a good day.
Now,
So I tried so hard, guys. I tried so hard to bring everybody through the whole campaign, but we had that one mission where we lost 2 people, and I still feel bad about that.
Yeah.
I worked so
No.
hard.
You know what's gonna be
No.
interesting now? One of my first thoughts, thinking about getting ready for the next season or whatever, is the experience level difference between what's presented in the books, because they expect you guys to be starting a new campaign at very low or no experience, and you guys have this mountain of experience behind you.
So I've ran games that have gone through like seasons a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And what I usually do is I do a level degrade
Yeah.
while keeping certain skills.
You
So
keep your
like
dice, but you
in
gotta dump
fantasy,
half your talents, something like that.
kind of like in Dungeons and Dragons it's a little bit easier because you're like, okay, well if you have a feat, like in 3.5 you have a feat,
Yeah.
you would keep the feat, but you would lower your stats appropriately to either your age, and then your level wouldn't go from like 14 to like level 6 pretty quickly.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Things like that would happen because obviously you're not sharp anymore and you need to like train up again.
Well, I
It's
mean,
something that I
that's
played
one
with
of those
friends.
where if we total up how much experience we've gained, and then we set a percentage point and we just rebuild the character sheet with the lower percentage of what we had,
Yeah, that's an idea.
because that way we could take what we had and anything we had access to
Are
we could take.
you suggesting we decimate our characters?
Why, yes.
And I missed half of that decimation conversation.
So, do you know what the actual definition of the word decimate
it
is?
comes from the Roman legions when they would have a squad of 10 and 9 would get hammers or something along those lines. So like one person out of 10 was to be beaten by the other 9 to death. And the Romans would do that as a form of discipline. So
That just means that 9 people are getting extra experience.
9 people are getting their stress down by 1.
Yeah. Okay, merciless overkill. Calm down.
Okay, so after looking at the character sheets that I have here, it would make sense that the skills would go down, but the talents might stay or need to be re-rolled to see if you still have them.
I actually
Okay, so
don't.
I'm gonna.
I actually like that
We
idea a
can't
little
do
bit.
that.
We can't
No,
do the
eh?
reroll, or Pike will have no talents.
Well, the thing is, we can't do that because some of us spent all of our XP on talents and some of us
That's
spent all
also
of
a
our
fair
XP
point.
on
Yeah.
skills. So
Oh,
what
okay.
you
I
can
see.
do is
Mhm.
each talent and each skill point above the original 10 has 5 XP.
And then you
They're
just
all-
So we know
rebuy
how
them.
much, and none of us got the same amount of XP either.
That's true.
That's why I'm saying the most fair option would be to pick a low percentage, like 20 or 30%, count
Okay.
up what everyone has, and build a new character using that 20%.
So determine how much experience you have. Keep 20 or 30% of that and rebuild from
And
there.
then just let us build it, and then we can buy things that we already had access to. So if we already had a talent, we can buy the talent. If we already had a skill unlocked, we can use that skill unlock. And it also helps because we need to re-roll some of our stuff for the fact that we're having new character classes. we will have access to new character classes in the second campaign because we're not Marines.
You're not
anymore.
Marines anymore. You're going to have the more closely aligned with the standard classes.
So here's the thing. So in the core book for core adventure, like Marine representing like former Marines and stuff is still a class, and it is the class we used. We just have the the MOS modifier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I see what you're saying.
So what I think would be interesting is depending on what our characters were doing in that mid time, right? How much they embraced this change or struggled with it or whatever. It'd be interesting if we had the option to change our class, or we could keep what we had and just know that it's going to be like some of those things are going to be harder to apply.
All right, so here's the thought with that. Look, give me just one quick second because I have a feeling I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. So what if we do this? So 20% starting XP, or 20% of your current XP with a class change, or 30% without. And when you take that class change, you get whatever you would normally start with. Flip flop it, maybe.
We would have to calculate to see how much points everybody has. I think first
before we can do anything. Yeah.
Sense.
Okay.
So we can do that real
skills?
Quick.
I mean, so how many skills do we supposed to have? Like
we started with 10.
You have 10. You started with 10 skill ranks, and now it not necessarily. Do you have a note on your sheet for what your event was?
I do.
Because the events will give you either a piece of equipment, a skill rank, or a talent. So that's also a factor.
When you roll your character, you had one or two events randomly rolled.
Yeah.
Remember you rolled your D66 for
like for Warren, he got the Medal of Honor or
Galactic Cross.
Yeah, that one.
No, the Galactic
Cross
one was
directly.
That's part of your starting package. But again, that's part of the choose an MOS play Marine thing. So that's why I was like, if you throw out the class, you also lose the event and stuff, and that makes that a little difficult.
So multi-classing is kind of the thing that I was thinking, where like, I guess
let's start with figuring out how much XP each of us has.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you do that, let me throw this one at you. Before you start crunching numbers, what do you want to do for this session's worth of XP? Do you want to just take a blanket 5 XP?
Yeah. Why don't we just everybody take 5, and then we can calculate what we have.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Because I have an absurd number of talents compared to you guys, so.
Well, because you and Pike spend a lot of your experience on talents specifically, almost exclusively.
Okay, let me get my number pad here. So
minus my 10 starting ranks, minus another 1 for my event.
Just a random piece of paper. I know I have.
I feel like you just found a really high number.
Well, I also have to keep in mind that Pike did a lot of he pushed real hard to get that extraordinary action XP a lot.
Yeah, he did. Pike definitely did get a bunch of XP. I think, not that it was ever my intention, and it just kind of happened this way. I think Pike and Wescott kind of ended up being closer to the main characters of the story.
Let's see.
That's hard when you're having an actual command chain, though. Yeah. It just doesn't lend itself to giving
a fair chance for everybody.
Okay, so
I had a fun time.
No, yeah.
So this math isn't super hard, right? So I have 68 skill points. Subtract 10 for the base starting, and then subtract another 1 for one of my previous events. Which leaves me with 57 gained skill ranks.
38.
So you earned 57 times 5 experience points?
Plus.
I'm not done. Okay. So I purchased 57 skill ranks. I have 14 talents. I started with 2, so subtract that gets me to 12.
60 points.
So that's 69 times 5.
I have 40, including my skills and talents. with Warren.
So what I'm hearing is you guys were easily in the 1 to 200 experience points range. Easily.
Oh, buddy. I have
1,
345 XP.
That's
I'm
not.
at the
I mean, that's
200
not.
mark.
I mean, it's. I mean, I never paid attention to how much XP everybody was getting each week. We had 40 episodes, 40 plus episodes, where everybody was gaining experience points, anywhere from 2 to 5 in a single session. So
Yeah.
it's
I
not
think-
unreasonable to come up with 200 plus.
I got, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 sessions, I'm pretty sure I nailed at least 5, like pretty much every session.
Mhm.
So, including
them
the
I got
XP
more.
I have unspent on my sheet, I have earned a total of 216 XP.
Yeah, and there's and then you
200
were
for
getting.
Warren.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that, Luke?
200 for Warren.
Yeah, and then you were
And then how
always
much
getting
did you say again,
2
Pike?
345. I think you said.
I guess 345 XP.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised there.
I'm not surprised either. I mean, to
Because
hear the
his-
number,
Terribly.
yeah, but like to know that he has a lot compared to everybody else is not terribly surprising.
Well, because that's because his were always hyper combat aggressive, and we
Yes.
did a lot of combat.
Yeah, and there was also, I mean, like everybody always got 2 experience almost every single session period because you were getting paid and you participated always. The only
I
one.
also put a lot of effort for most of the campaign, being like very aggressively supportive of my buddy, and I fucked with like
Your rivals,
Wescott
yeah.
was my rival for a long time, and I did a lot, especially in
did.
the first half of the
You
campaign, to
did.
shit on Octavia. So
yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, you totally rebuilt my character in your image, and now you're going to have to suffer through that for the entire second
he
campaign.
is. I'm gonna love it. You guys as civilians trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, trying not to go back to Marine
out of
Corps
all of us,
mentality.
I'm pretty sure Octavia is now the least adjusted to civilian life after all of this.
That's funny
It is
Because
because
she
his
doesn't
fault.
have.
Pike and let's see, Heath and Octavia were like this, and they've done this in the last
Yeah.
year and a half of gameplay.
Well, and the hard part is Pike has a goal and a reason to act like a normal person. Octavia doesn't have that motivation.
No, she's just
No,
trying to
but-
survive.
But on the flip side, we are going to commiserate a lot at failing to be normal people, because Pike might want it in a way that Octavia doesn't, but he's literally never done it before.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
he's going to be really bad at it.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see the change in dynamic, if not necessarily the tempo. Like it's almost going to be like a different skin, in a way.
Mm.
So I have a couple of thoughts. I have some ideas for like the new class thing, right? I think especially giving up our like previous events things, because that's part of being a Marine, right? I think what could be interesting is, instead of giving us that second class and remaking the character to use that class's like starting skills and stuff, instead we get access to that class's talents as if we were that class, so we can pick up those class specific
I see what
talents.
you're saying. So if you go, so you're basically going to go from Marine to I just had the damn name of the class in my head. Why can't I think of it now?
Let's say Roughneck.
That's the one. Actually, it was Roughneck. And Roughneck start with I don't know which ones, but let's say it's 1 or 2 talents, and you're saying get
Okay.
those talents and nothing else really changes fundamentally.
No, we don't get the free talents because we're going to do the buy anyways.
Okay.
We still get the starting skills and the event roles and the starting talents from our Marine MOSs.
Okay.
But when we're spending our XP, we are allowed to buy the talents that are restricted to the second class we choose.
That absolutely makes
Mhm.
perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me. I would
It's
say
like,
you would
for
get
example-
like by taking
so,
that
like,
class on,
for
you
example,
should get
the-
like the first whatever the Roughneck would start with, for instance, like the freebie. Because I feel like you would go through some sort of training process and pick that up. Does that make sense?
So
Okay. And then we
That's-
would use the starting equipment from our new class as
Yeah.
well.
yeah.
yeah.
And then
So we
and then
would
in
keep
Pike's
our
case, he's got the
old-
20,000 Wayu and the VS-70, whatever the fuck that pistol was. Because he
Yeah.
definitely swiped that
That's-
shit.
Because I stole that shit for
He
sure.
definitely swiped that shit.
Okay, so for my character, she started with bodyguard and bypass as a comtech. So
Yeah.
she would keep those, and then I would buy with the XP I have.
I think he's saying that the the one free talent you would normally get from your new class, you will still get to get that one additional free talent on top of keeping your starting talents for your Marinus.
Yeah.
So,
And then what do you got? Sorry, go ahead.
because I got 2 roles because I got the NCO table too.
Right.
So my base Marine role was bodyguard talent, and my NCO role was +1 medical aid.
Okay.
So
So you get to keep those for free.
Yeah, definitely say you get to keep those. And then you can keep, or well, you will get your new class, whatever their starting talent is. You get that for free, and then whatever XP that you guys are going to figure out that you get to spend in building the rest of your character out, you will use
so
that
what
towards your
percentage
character's
are we
new-
using?
I feel like
Because right now
I feel
I
like
have 216. So if I take 20%, that's 8 skill points or talents.
I feel like 20 to 30 is probably the most I want to go. 50 is definitely going to be the absolute.
Yeah,
because
I would say
that's
20 makes
far
sense.
too much.
Because for me, that would be 8. For Luke, that should be 7 or 8.
I mean, I like the 30%.
Because it's a bigger number, we know. I'm joking.
Well,
I'm joking.
Well, we're also skilled characters, so
Yeah,
30%
yeah.
does make sense.
Well, let's do 30.
We have done okay because
Yeah.
we've done so much as characters.
Yeah, you have. And I don't want to take away a lot of that, but I feel like some of it not necessarily needs to be taken away, but some of it certainly needs to be restructured to account for, let's say you spend 6 months to a year in some sort of apprenticeship or new vocational training before you head off for this next big thing. So it would make sense that you're shifting some of your Marine experiences into this new vocation, whatever that new vocation may be. Who's going to be the officer that gets to tell people that they have to do what they're being told?
So that brings up the next question. What classes are people thinking for which characters that they are bringing forward?
Yeah,
obviously Watcher's out. He wants nothing to do with any of you psycho motherfuckers. So,
and as well he should.
Mm.
Lauren?
Well, the 2 new classes out of the Building Better Worlds is Wildcatter and Entertainer.
But we'd also get access. It'd also be appropriate to take the ones from the core book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Core books definitely, and then that entertainer.
Which is Marine.
I don't know if anybody would qualify as an entertainer per se, but I guess somebody could be. Right? I could see Right being an entertainer.
Well, no, I think
that's true too.
Matt could be an entertainer if he wants to own and run a bar.
That's actually a fair point. That's
I don't have that book though.
We'll fix that. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the other options that we have are Colonial Marine if you really, really sucked at your transition, Colonial Marshal, Company Agent. I don't think any of us are going to suddenly regress to being a child.
Well, I don't know. Have you met Pike?
Medic, Officer, Pilot, or Roughneck, or Scientist. I'm imagining the hilarity of One Wit's Pike picking up Scientist.
What do you mean I'm supposed to use the Bunsen burner to boil this? I thought it was for making toast.
Yeah. Now I have to decide what is the difference between being a marshal and an officer. I don't quite.
Marshal is law enforcement.
Yes.
Officer is
like a ship crew or something.
Is a ship officer specifically. That is the difference. One is the leadership role, and the other one is the law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can see her being a marshal. She should not be an officer.
What would Right be?
Because it's also like, what role do you envision your character having on the new ship, and then trying to find the class that fits that.
I can do without Right, to be honest.
It's entirely up to you. And here's the other thing:
keep Right.
We don't even necessarily have to have multiple characters anymore with this next bit.
Sure, we don't have to. But
is it helpful? Maybe.
It would be, but it'd be fun. Like a lot of effort put into Alita, and Alita's been through some shit.
Yes.
It'd be cool to entertain the option.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say you have to. I'm not going to say you don't have to. Obviously, we know Winston and Watts are out for various reasons. Well, effectively, they're both dead, so that's really the main reason.
I mean, they're literally both
they're
dead.
literally
They're
dead.
not effectively both dead. They're literally both
Well,
Well, they're
one
as
definitely
literally dead
died.
as fictitious characters can be.
One
Yeah.
definitely died, and the other one appears to be dead. But yeah, as far as right, obviously you've chosen that Watcher's not going to come forward, and that's fine. I think
There's
in fact,
no-
I think having
there's no-
4 characters in the next segment or next campaign, whatever, is probably a good number because obviously Eckhart will be there.
Well, that's
Eckhart,
that's
yeah.
only if
I mean,
Luke
we
wants
don't-
to run too.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to.
exactly.
We also don't know for sure that Eckhart's going to be there. We got to discuss the in-between game stuff.
Okay.
We know that that was Pike's drive, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen.
I think
Mm-hmm.
I would say this: whether or not I ever established it in character for her, she definitely had. When at some point after Pike saying, I forget exactly what Pike said, but something along the lines of like, leaving the Marine Corps, wanting to spend his life with her, or something along those lines.
I mean, he struggled his way through it, but he basically said, "I'd leave the Corps for you."
Yeah, I think she.
But we got to be realistic here, right? On the one side, like I'm not like, oh God, please don't bring Eckhart back, because I think both scenarios are entertaining and would be fun to roleplay.
Mm-hmm.
They also haven't known each other that long, and Pike is like a romantic child at this point, so like his gestures are totally like weird and fast paced and off kilter.
Oh yeah, he
whatever,
is.
like,
He needs to settle down and slow down. He's moving way too fast.
right.
Yeah, he's kind of
So
like
there's also the
like-
possibility that she's like, like I was thinking about us, doing something a little more with this, but now you're fucking nuts. Like that is so well beyond clearly
Or
this can't be
what
whatever.
could happen, and I will say this: whatever the final answer is, we will reveal it only once we go live with the next season. But one possible outcome is that you guys did, after leaving the Marine Corps, after beginning the transition of vocation and schooling and whatever else you were going to do to get ready for the next one, that you guys tried the whole living together being a couple thing and just did not fucking
Just didn't
work because you didn't have the one thing that actually kept y'all together: the goddamn Marine Corps and the goddamn pressure. You guys were trauma bonded, not necessarily matrimonially bonded or romantically bonded.
There's a lot of options. I just
So-
thought it would be
Yeah,
noteworthy to put on the table that her not showing up in the second campaign could also be like a big thing.
yes.
So
But there will be a pilot, period. You guys will need a pilot. Whether it's a player character or an NPC
or it might be Pike.
it could be Pike.
He's already been flying.
It could be. It could be. Listen, I'm just saying you're gonna need a pilot. Who that pilot is not as important as it is that there is one.
mm,
Because you will need a pilot. Period.
So yeah. So 30% starting equipment from the new class. We do get the talent from the new class.
Yep.
I definitely stole a bag of personal goods, so I've got 20 grand in a VP pistol.
Yep.
In a picture of Ganon.
Who knows what happened to him? Who knows what happened to him?
I'd love to be you would like look at the picture longingly and be like Winston. It's like Winston saved him, right?
Yeah, he
It's like
did.
Winston.
He did, because I really wanted to murder somebody on that first mission and I couldn't. And I was this
We
close to
wouldn't let it
murdering him,
happen.
but you guys made me roll him back.
We just wouldn't let it happen.
Yeah, of course
Just
not.
like we almost couldn't let the that woman on the space station go, and I think we ended up shooting her through the thing, right?
You like blew a limb off and
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I-
think I remember now. Speaking of,
we do.
so well, before we move on, let me ask this: are we more or less set at the moment for a rough idea, not necessarily a refined idea, but a rough idea for progressing our characters into the next series?
I think we have the structure, like we know what we
Yeah.
need to do.
Yep,
I think-
30%.
Yeah.
I think what we need to discuss is like exactly what roles we envision getting hired on the new ship for.
Yeah.
So we
Mhm.
all so we know, and we can semi-coordinate as a party and figure out anything that might matter for our in-between fluff.
I think that can probably get nailed out or figured out off air. What I would like to do in the half hour ish that we have left, let's talk about this past campaign from both player and in character perspectives. Questions, favorite moments, hated moments. I think
My
for
greatest
me,
shame is still losing those two characters.
yeah.
Same mission.
Yep.
I tried so fucking hard, guys. I really did.
I tried so fucking hard to kill at least one. I'm not gonna
Oh.
lie to you. I wanted to kill one, but in that mission in particular, yeah, there's my
Let's
kid
be clear.
palpitating back.
Omar
back
killed no one. We killed them.
Omar
I killed both.
facilitated the killing.
I killed both of them.
Yes.
You did. You murdering son of a bitch.
I killed both of them. It's my greatest shame.
and
you
you know
didn't
what?
know
That was
about
the
the
best
second one.
part.
I didn't
I
even
couldn't
know
plan
about
that
the
any better,
second
by the
one.
way. I couldn't plan it any better that the person who most wanted to bring his team back whole is the one that killed both of the people that died. The only thing that could have been better is if I gotten Wescott to do it.
Oh yeah.
Wescott
Poor
almost
Wescott.
beat to death that what was his name? The guy in the tunnel there.
Oh, you
I'm spacing on
mean
his
when
name.
I was Mr. I got claustrophobia because I
Wisniewski?
mentally broke?
Wazinski.
Wilczynski? Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
this is
god,
Wally.
such a cursed character.
Wally.
Oh,
That guy
Or
would have
Wally.
been such a great character if his dice rolls weren't so consistently
Oh,
garbage.
God. He could
Yeah.
not pass a roll to save himself in the game.
He was this
Just
far
couldn't.
from being beaten to death and left in the bottom of that mine.
Let me ask you this, Rodance, you as that guy's player. How did it feel like for you, knowing that your other main character was about to beat the shit out of this guy for being a complete asshat?
Um,
I want to know what was
it's
going through
not
your head.
it was not so much beating him for being an asshat as beating him for having such bad luck he was
Yeah.
going to kill us all.
Yeah.
he was bad luck.
He's bad luck.
He really was, man. Oh my god. For what it's worth, I do feel a little, I guess, bad about your character that you put a lot of effort in putting together. Honestly, he would have been a great character if his dice rolls
He
would
was
have been
funny.
better. He would have been great.
But
He just narratively, he had to go. He had
and
to
he doesn't
fucking
and
go.
he didn't mesh well with Pike per se.
No, he didn't from the
If
get
he
go.
had fought well, he and Pike would have gotten along. But
Yeah.
because he didn't fight well
No,
initially,
He
he and
didn't even
Pike
have
would
to
never
fight
have been
well.
able to get along.
He didn't even have to fight well. Kane.
He
What
just
did
had
he
to
have to
not
do?
utterly fail
He
his
had to
roles.
keep fighting. He just had to
But
keep fighting.
That's it. He just had to keep trying.
And
And
he
then when
sat
he showed
down.
up in the office, and was like, I quit. Pike was like, fuck you. I'm not even gonna waste the time to hit you. Like, get out of my office.
Hey, Westcott was so mad at him, she made him run around in circles for a really long time.
Yep,
that
I
was,
remember
that
that.
was the
To
big
do more
thing.
laps.
That was the big
She-
thing with Westcott, right? Westcott was terrible at fighting, and Pike got all up in her shit about it, but she kept trying anyways, and that's why he was like, I can work with this. Like, you disappoint me endlessly. Part of me wishes you would fucking die, but you're my problem and you're trying. So I can still do something with this. I just hope I don't kill myself before I'm done.
You couldn't give up on her. You were not allowed to give up on her because she had not given up herself.
Yeah.
I think that's where that really boils down to.
And Wally refused to walk that path.
God, yeah, Wally, man.
Mhm.
Why would he?
I think narratively, him making some of those choices just worked out so like precognitively well. I can't think of you know what I'm trying to say though. Because think about it, he got his ass beat in the sparring match. No big deal, right? No big deal. But he's done. You win. You got me. I'm gonna go sit down now and drink my water. I'm good. Pike takes offense to that because Pike is Pike. Go on mission.
Pike gave him the
Rolls
opportunity too. It was
shitty.
both of them.
Yeah, and then goes on mission and rolls shitty, runs away scared, everything else. And so, like, narratively, we start with, you got me. I can live with that. I can take a beating. It's not my first time. This seems like a normal, easy thing to understand.
Mhm.
Turns out the guy's
Knowing
a
how to
fucking
take a
coward.
beating and still get along with people is a
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah, it is. But turns out it's
Mhm.
really, he's just a fucking coward. When you look at it strictly from a narrative standpoint, we don't realize he's a coward until we go on the mission and he's running around in the dark, scared, running away from everything. Even though he's this
Every
big ass
single time.
smart gunner.
The dice
Every
decided
time.
the dice
it
decided that when he
twice.
was exposed to true evil, he crumpled.
Oh, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what the dice told us.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. You guys tried to make this Warhammer 40K character and laughed at you.
Poor Warren.
Oh my god, Warren has quickly become one of my favorite characters in this game. I think it's more amusing. Like, Pike is amusing on his own. Westcott's funny. Warren is the one that I think about most, I think.
He
He
just
starts
pulls
off
it
as
out
this...
clutch every time.
Yeah,
Warren
he's...
started the
Warren-
game as this lost puppy
Yeah.
seeking approval
Yeah.
because of like being super like like embarrassed or
Yeah.
confused or whatever
Yeah.
about his decoration, and he ended up coming out the other side like an honorary AW.
Yeah, basically.
Now, I wanna state something. Now,
course.
when I created Winston and Warren, okay, Winston was my main character, but
Yeah.
then Warren was kind of like a joke character.
Yeah,
I
remember that.
and he's never gonna watch this show, so
Yeah,
screw
you
him,
named
right?
him after your brother, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what weirdly happened when I played him for long enough that Winston was gone, I started to understand my brother better.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you and your brother a
So,
little bit
like-
closer now? I'm not trying to be funny, like
No.
like legitimately, or just. But do you
No.
feel like there's maybe the chance of
I
more connection
understand-
because you understand him?
A little bit,
Yeah.
yes. Not to go into it like on
Yeah.
on live or anything like that, but like we didn't see eye to eye as much, and I think it's one of those things where like he was envisioned as being a younger version of himself, and as the campaign grew, he grew,
Yeah.
and it was a weird like symbolism of like, okay, I'm starting to see the decisions that he made and stuff like that throughout his life, and I'm like, no.
You made him as a joke character to kind of snub your brother, but you end up coming out of it on the other end, knowing and understanding your brother far more than you thought you would a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Somehow
is
I went through
amazing.
therapy.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. I
Yeah.
I like the idea of this kid who comes in on the tail end of a disastrous moment in his life where somehow he ends up getting this award. He doesn't even understand how or why. Nobody believes he's worthy of this award. And so he's like, well, I did get this award. And so he becomes fixated on the idea of proving to everybody. And in the process, learns that he really doesn't need to. I think at one point, didn't you take that medal and throw it away?
Yep.
Now, I realized
it no
part
longer
of that was
became the-
because the Marine Corps had basically burned you.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where like he didn't have to have the approval
Yeah.
of the system, and because of that he wasn't able to use like his item anymore.
Yeah.
But it did go into the locker and then just kind of stay there, which I believe is now at the bottom of an ocean.
Well, the Tambatam exists. I think I was gonna have the Tambatam showed up, and then I decided not to. At the end, there,
But I think I
I-
think it was when we were in Spook's ship that he took out the emblem, so it would have been
is that when he did it?
in that. Yeah. So unless he
Oh,
goes
okay,
swimming, I
okay.
don't think he's got that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if it was on the Badger ship, then absolutely, it was. It's now at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
Okay.
Granted, where that ship crashed, it's not terribly deep. It's like several hundred feet. You know, if you wanted to go
No,
back.
now that you mention that, I was wondering like because like our issued gear obviously goes back, but I stole that empty RPG launcher. Do I just have an empty RPG?
You're the one
That
guy
I
that
s-
has. You're the one guy that has the what is it, the M41 Law, sitting on their living room wall. The little silver tube with the strap.
I mean, I got a bunch of swords and no one complains about me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
so that
fun.
was
I did think it was funny. You made it perfectly clear when you made Warren that Warren was just supposed to be like this silly throwaway whatever to just hang out in the background.
Yeah.
But Warren ended up with so many personal memes through this.
The
know,
knife, throwing the knife
unshaped-
at the alien.
The unshakable, the knife tosser.
Oh man, that was definitely a good one. I think. Let me tell you, when we
The
started,
unkillable.
oh, the unkillable, yeah. Oh man, that reminds me of that pivotal moment in a very literal sense, a very pivotal moment too with Warren.
I'll be right back.
Yep, where there's a couple of dice rolled that determine Warren's fate. That we've let the spotlight braze over it, but we haven't let the spotlight sit on it. So to be clear, for those that missed when this happened, There was
It was a very
indeed.
subtle moment.
Yeah, it was a subtle moment. We didn't want to put a lot of weight on it. It was a very important moment in Warren's development, and it was during the space station mission when Winston was killed. And it was when Warren and Watts were stuck at the bottom of the station for however long it was, 2 or 3 sessions, basically, fighting for their literal lives, and Watts losing his memories and everything. And at one point, Warren was about to throw the towel in a very literal sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a simple die roll that determined his fate. And
I think it was what was it, a D6?
I don't remember what the roll was, like what dice and what the result was, other than you rolled that he was going to live.
Yeah, it was I believe a D6. It was an empathy roll.
Okay.
Which he gets 2 dice on, and he had to roll 1 success to just be like, no.
Yeah.
And then continue on.
Yep. And I think
somehow out of that, it's he succeeded. So
yeah, he did succeed, and it. Could you imagine the rest of this series without Warren? Had he failed that roll or passed the roll? I don't remember exactly how we resolved it. I don't know what that would have been like.
Are we talking about the airlock?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think if he had not made if he had not made that roll and decided a different course of action, this would have been a totally different story.
He at that moment there, his life became comical. Comicable?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Where like it was like, okay, now I'm just gonna do extreme shit all the time. And it just worked out.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go clean up some cat puke. I'm waiting for him to throw up again, because he usually throws up twice.
Yeah,
no, don't eat it, dumbass.
Oh yeah.
Oh God!
Now he eats too fast. He eats too fast sometimes. He ends up throwing up, and he usually throws up twice. That's the only reason why I was waiting.
Is it dry food?
Yeah.
That he eats?
Yeah.
Get a slow feeder bowl like you would for a dog.
I've actually wanted to lean away from that because it can lead to weight gain. So I put food out twice a day for him.
You just have to put less food out, I guess. Then
that might be what it is. I don't know.
Well,
I gotta get this cleaned up. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. So the real question is, do I go down the I'm gonna be a cop route, or do I pick something else? And I'm like, I can't decide.
I feel like partway through this campaign, we decided that we were going to include our own commentary on real world veterans issues, right?
Which I know all about, apparently. No.
Being the combat vet that leaves and becomes a cop is a fucking trope for a reason. There's a lot that do it.
Yeah.
Hoping to be on, like there's a lot of reasons, but one of the ones I've heard more often
it's
than
transferable
not is
skills, right?
Isn't transferable skills. It's being in it's being in another rigid hierarchy.
Yeah. But like I've heard 100 times that infantry come back in Canada and they have no skills to go anywhere in like any environment because they're just like stuck in this military background, and when they come in they just work at a Burger King or something because that's the only thing they can get, because being infantry doesn't give you some skill like being like a paramedic or being a nurse or being whatever other
you could do all sorts of
or...
You know what, I make this comment as someone that served as a field artilleryman, straight up combat arms, okay? So don't come at me with that bullshit. But you know what skills we get in the combat arms? We could be janitors, we could be landscapers. We could do security.
Yeah.
That's about it. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of options that I'm, outside of the meme, but like there's not a lot in some regards.
We have engineers in Canada that are like they're all landscapers when they come back, because exactly that. They just like they sweep all the time for mines and things, and when they come back they're like, I can mow the lawn with a weed whacker.
Yeah.
I've got the muscle memory for a weed whacker for hours at a time.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think it would be, so she was originally a Comtech Marine. So it makes me kind of want to lean towards scientist. But I think being a marshal would be funnier.
It would be interesting to see her as a marshal, though. It would be interesting.
We did talk a while ago about how like her being part of the security element on the ship would help her feel closer to where she came from. And Marshall would probably be the way to do that. Being
Yeah,
part of
she
the
would be
security
like,
force and trying to find people who
she'd
are
be a
fucking things up.
marshal who does like nighttime guard duty.
Well, actually, no. I see where you're going with that. Because of the colonial marshal would be the actual class, but her duty position would be ship security or
It would be a
security
security
asset.
officer on it's security officer on the ship we'll be on.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But that's where I was talking about, like, us knowing what jobs our characters would be trying to do, and then finding the class that matches it.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think her being just security, not like an actual police officer, would make more sense.
Yeah.
But flavoring the marshal as just sort of like a general security thing probably wouldn't be too much of a stretch.
No,
I
I
think just
agree
pick
with
between
that.
officer and marshal for like they're just a skill.
Because their
Set.
specific career talents, the ones that are limited just to them,
Yeah.
are
So look at the skills.
authority, investigator, and subdue, and those are all applicable to a security officer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you'd have the
I guess we
authority
can
as a
discuss this
security
after.
person, but
I guess we can discuss this after we're no longer alive. But I don't know what the ship we're even doing on things with.
Yeah, I think
that
that's
was
an
not a
unfair
sentence.
thing.
Yeah,
I think
that's,
that's
that was
an
not
unfair
a sentence.
conversation.
yeah, it is. We'll talk
Yeah,
about that. In fact, what I
one of
want to
my
do is
favorite
Go
one
ahead.
of my favorite moments, because I went away before I could share some of my favorite
Yeah,
moments.
yeah.
One of my favorite moments was Wescott beating the fuck out of the newbies.
That was amazing.
She
Because they were
spent all that time getting her ass kicked by Pike, and
Yep.
Pike was like, you're scary. You don't know it, but you are. And then having these two meathead characters come in and get absolutely fucking mopped by the comp tech.
by the nerd.
Yeah.
So they got their asses
It's-
beat by a nerd.
Yeah, and I actually got to beat someone's ass in the presence of everyone else on the ship. Because normally they're
think-
just watching me getting beaten into the ground by Pike over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think
It
that's
was
the
really
funny part.
good.
I think that's the funny part is we have this, oh, she's getting bullied all the time. So she turns around and bullies somebody else. Or on the flip side, yeah, Westcott gets the shit beat out of her. She proves her fucking salt because she keeps taking it like a Marine. And then she turns around and expects her subordinates to do the same thing because they got to get better. And it's just funny to watch for literally 2 or 3 downtime sessions, or 2 or 3 downtime series of sessions in a row where she's just getting her ass beaten. She turns around and just
Like every
wallops these
time
new
except for
guys.
that last one, she was already wounded.
Yeah, yep.
I would. Warren
so
wouldn't want to
good.
take. Warren would not want to take Westcott in a fight unless Warren had his knife with him.
So he refused to spar with her.
So what
He
I'm hearing
has.
is you see that movie, The Motorcyclists, right? With Matt Hardy, or was that his name? Matt Hardy. It was like, are we gonna do this fists or are we gonna do this with knives? Well, I don't want to hurt you, son. Fists, I guess. Like Warren's like, no, I want to hurt. I need to survive. I need my knife.
I mean, he did Superman punch Pike once, and then Pike went into like, not again.
Nah, bro.
And yeah, it was great.
Well done. Here's your fucking reward.
Yep. Oh man. Let's see. Any questions of maybe open-ended or loopholes I didn't quite close? Any? Obviously, I'm not going to give away some
Okay,
things, but
I have a question that immediately comes to mind.
yeah.
So, this whole serial killer thing, was that purely a post-mortem, or was that like a potential explored arc
What's
for Winston?
Oh,
for Winston?
Yeah.
That was a post-mortem thing where like he like supplementing the information involved in how he was treating things. It could have gone into that direction. He was bound to get caught. I think is the thing, but honestly, when he started going like into merciless and all this kind of stuff and turning into the Pike side, just bad things were gonna happen, mostly because of exactly that, like what he idolized Pike as being, or turned Pike into an idol. He already overestimated how evil he had to be to survive, because Pike was never that evil. He was never that awful of a person.
You know,
But
Pike set quite the first impression when he predator strung those guys up in the jungle in the first mission.
Yeah.
Now, war crime, yes, we've done less war crimes over time. Maybe, sort of. You know what? I'm not sure what a war crime is anymore.
Hey, Geneva only applies when you're on Earth.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Here's a crazy thought exercise. Take Winston when he first started out, but apply him to the group after Winston originally died. Would Pike's interactions been would Pike's activities, we'll say, changed or influenced Winston in a different direction?
Again, you mean?
Well, so
Like,
if
yeah.
so, you remember. So what if Winston joined the party after that space station mission? Would Pike's interactions cause a different series of outcomes other than the obvious being shot by Pike? But would that change Winston's outcomes differently?
Let's say I had a different medic. He got shot for whatever
Yeah,
reason,
yeah.
and then Winston came back and was like, "Okay, cool, let's do this again."
Yeah,
In like a alternate universe.
yeah, like a what if?
So yeah, so let's look at that. So Space Station was mission 3, right?
4, 5. I think it was 4.
3 or 4?
Or I think it was 4.
Yeah,
You think it was 4?
I think so.
Okay, so then the only thing that was left was
because there were 6 missions.
yeah.
We did.
You did 5 of them,
7.
and then you did the destroyer mission.
No. There were 6 missions. There's 6 missions in the book, and we dropped one.
Yes.
Instead, we did the final mission, and we had the first mission with because mission 5 was the underground.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
it went
mission
from
4
4
was
to
the
5.
space station.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, right, because 4 immediately we have Wright and Wojcinski.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so 5 and then 6 was the ship.
Yep.
And then whatever we did here.
This was 7 here. Octopus Garden was the dumb name for it.
Without Wright, I think this particular mission would have been really weird for Winston because of all the technicians and people involved. And I think the last mission, we would have gunned down a bunch of people in the tunnels, like actual just like workers and miners and stuff that were just like unruly. So I think basically he would have probably fell down the same thing if he just rolled the same type of like dark side, light side stuff.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. Any other?
Sorry it took so long to get to that conclusion.
No worries.
I'm also trying to imagine if Badge Guy had not played that last card the way he had to for Pike to take us off the dark side ending, and we had gone full dark side for this campaign.
Yeah, that would have been involved. That would have changed the ending. Last 2 missions, it would have been. You guys would have
seizing the ship.
You would be taking the ship and setting it up so it would crash, and then coming here probably to help Vaughn escape and having to fight off some shit in order for it to happen. I don't even know. In fact, actually, I don't think you guys would have actually earned this mission for lack of it. It wouldn't have not like if you think about it in like video game terms, you would have gotten the bad guy ending, and that would not have involved this mission.
Yeah, that us seizing the ship and sending it off was supposed to be the capstone for the bad ending.
Yeah,
because Vaughn would have ruled. There wouldn't have been an attack on the island.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And our epilogue would have been us going to a totally justified war with the UPP.
Yeah, that's exactly. You would never have had the opportunity to leave the Corps at that point.
Yeah,
because they would have stop lost your ass.
I knew the different endings, and I knew that I was hard charging us towards the bad ending. And I was like,
was that intentional?
Where we're going.
Was that intentional, or was that just based on your idea for this character?
It wasn't in. I as a player was not shooting for the bad ending.
Okay.
After the first mission, I was hoping that we would start to question things or whatever.
Yeah,
but people just threw in with Pike.
They
Pike's
did.
Y'all
did.
Anything.
Y'all fucking y'all found Jesus and followed him into the woods.
To be fair,
I was expecting. It obviously didn't happen, but I was expecting that at the end of the first mission, we would have found out enough weird stuff that the 4 of you would have got together and had a conversation of what the fuck just happened, and Pike would have had questions to ask, but nobody did. We all just went, "Yep, this thing's good to us."
Yep,
and I was
it's
like,
Tuesday.
I was like, "There's
we
no
blew
way Pike's
it up.
gonna."
And we even took a photo of the thing blowing up in the background while we were like thumbing up.
Yeah, we just thumbs up our way towards the bad ending, and I was like, "Well, I guess this might actually happen. This is awkward."
Let me see if I can. Where did I leave those notes? Let me see. because I definitely had to keep some notes in that regard. Let's see. I may or may not have shared these with you guys. So let's see. Show opening, talents and roles. Okay, so as of Blaze of Glory, which is the first mission, the players are currently slightly in General Vaughn's favor. Assuming Quiet Catch, this is one of my other notes. This is Quiet Catch was, I believe, when you went to go fish those scientists out of the starport, where you first actually met Maitland. Assuming Quiet Catch continues at the rate I think it is, it's likely that the players will have earned General Vaughn's favor, proving to her that they are reliable and competent in the field. They just might be getting a new dropship after this mission. And I believe it's around that time that you guys did get a new dropship. Oh no, Quiet Catch is a different one because Go Fish is that one I was just talking about. For Mission 3, Go Fish, General Vaughn has basically accepted the players as being on her side and is now considering them exploitable and deniable assets, a bunch of dumb grunts she can rely on to get the mission completed, but absolutely will burn them if necessary, or until they prove they are more useful. By Mission 4, which was Dreamcatcher, which was the space station, the players have proven their worth to General Vaughn and are not being groomed as a select missions profile group, though mostly still disposable in case of emergency. So she was basically like, I could probably rely on these guys, and I don't necessarily have to burn them unless I absolutely need to. And then Mission 5, which was the deep mines, or deep shaft, the mines. Vaughn believes the PCs are good for her needs, but with recent losses and new replacements, she needs to blood them again in order to vet them out. However, Colonel Arnold may see something and say something, and there is the matter of the badge guy and the impact of his warnings on Pike and the rest of the team.
When we got our promotions,
Which one?
from
The first
Vaughn?
ones? Yeah.
I was like, oh boy, I know that is a scripted reward for doing good for Vaughn.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. That and the dropship. The dropship also was a scripted reward for doing well for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and I have a couple other notes in here somewhere too. Let's see. Episode 26. Oh, that was when Wescott was charmed by the Queen, which was Dreamcatcher. Beginning episode 27 has some stuff that I'm not going to go into. Oh, Potts is amnesiac. Warren is a druggie. Oh, and then my notes for Nova. Then, yep. Yeah,
I was really tempted to hold on to that Nova to have one dose for the second campaign.
Well, you don't now.
I know. It was tempting, but I was
In fact, that dose has been destroyed. Not like
Yeah.
intentionally destroyed, but destroyed through the process of breaking it down to find out what it is and what it does.
all right. But it made more sense for the character for him to be looking out to make sure that his brothers aren't being poisoned.
Oh yeah, it absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Even though as a player, I thought it'd be a really funny gotcha like a year from now when we're at the end of the next campaign.
When
like,
you're fighting the
I
big
popped my
bad.
Nova, bitch.
When you're fighting the big bad at the end of the second campaign, you're like, I take Nova and I punch it in the face.
I want to be right back, okay?
Yep.
So,
Any other
yeah.
questions about the story, the characters,
Do you
decisions
want
I
to tell
made?
us? Do you want to tell us about the totally fake, not fake boyfriend? Since he's dead.
He's
Since
dead.
he's dead.
Yeah. So obviously in character you'll never know this unless you investigate, but
And Pike won't.
not you. I was talking more to Rodance for that one. Initially Tom Stevenson was absolutely 1000% legitimate. And then I had the idea about when I was writing the take over the spaceship mission, when I was writing that one, I was like, hold up, I need to fuck with the players a little bit more. And I was like, you know what? When you guys first arrive on Badge's ship, you're going to be sequestered. And that's when you're going to realize because I figured if you guys were sequestered, you were going to push back. I actually had planned for two eventualities, one or the other, if not both. One was somebody would literally physically walk out of the quarantine area or the containment and go exploring the rest of the ship to find more information. I also anticipated Wescott hacking the computer and trying to get through. And knowing that my initial response was going to be Karen says no. Karen being, of course, the intrusive program that was used by SecDef. But I also knew that with your goddamn comms tech being 77 damn dice, you were bound to get too many successes for me to be able to legitimately argue against. So what I was then going to have was, Well, now here's Tom Stevenson showing up on your computer screen saying you have to stay there, and I can't say anything more, and I have to go. My boss is calling me. And that was meant to be a breadcrumb for you to realize that he was actually, even though I initially, as a player in this game myself, I had initially planned Tom Stevenson to be an absolute legitimate love interest. But then I was like, nope, I'm going to flip that card and I'm going to Uno reverse it. He was a plant all along. But he then becomes legitimate himself. He actually does have a care. But we never got a chance to resolve that. And then he dies on the ship. And I rolled a 1d2 for Badge to survive. And he did. And I rolled a 1d2 for Stevenson to survive. And he did not.
Poor Stevenson.
Yep. I had every intention of him surviving and you guys having that conversation, but it never happened. So now he will die having forever been a plant all along, even though he actually developed real legitimate feelings for Wescott.
Poor Wescott.
Wescott may never know true love.
Wescott is going to have some problems, and it's going to be funny.
I'm not going to say any details in case you want to keep it on the down low, but I want to say that I appreciate you not taking the rocks fall, everybody dies option listed in this mission.
Wait, say that one more time? I missed something there.
I appreciate you not exercising the rocks fall, everybody dies option listed.
Oh, the border bombers?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think when I saw that note, because I had forgotten about it, right? And I was looking at my notes. You guys were talking about something. I looked at my notes, and I was like, okay, how do I want to play this out? Because we're by that point, we were well off any rails I may have already laid for the rest of this this mission. So I was like, all right, well, let me look at my notes. And I have border bombers showing up, observing, and then based on what they see, doing or not doing things. And I was like, no, narratively, that doesn't make sense now. And in fact, with as much emphasis, or rather the lack of emphasis the border bombers have had for the last year and a half, to use them as this foil right now would be absolutely pointless.
It's also one of those, like,
it's
also like the end of a campaign, and so they're designed to wipe the campaign so everyone has their cool arcs and then everybody dies.
Yeah.
And I was worried, I was like, if you try to exercise it, how are you going to ensure that anybody makes it to the second campaign? And then you didn't. And I appreciate that you didn't fuck around with the border bombers.
Yeah. I appreciate that you didn't fuck around with the border bombers. Okay, there it goes. I had to wait for the echo.
Sorry.
I had to wait for the echo to burn itself out.
Sorry about that.
No worries. You're good. I did that one night in my earliest part of my streaming career, air quoting the bejesus out of that. And I had my phone sitting close to the mic, and it just kept going and going and going. Like, oh my God, this is getting bad. And I realized what I needed to do. It just took a little longer than it should. No, like I said, it just, the border bombers, I think could have been used. I think I could have used them a little bit more throughout this entire campaign. I just didn't. I think I got a lot more focused on what we were doing with our characters and the story that we had. And because they weren't brought up a lot in the campaign in a scripted sort of way, they were kind of always dangling there to use if you wanted to. And I just didn't get around to using them. I think there was enough pieces on the board as it was that I didn't really want to call on them. And so when I looked at my notes right near the end, and I literally said, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. That's when I made that decision of not using the border bombers.
Even though it got super side railed, when I ran this campaign and they made it to the final mission, I also chose not to use the border bombers because it didn't make sense with any of the plots I was telling.
Yeah, same. Exactly the same thing. The story that we had up, from a year and a half ago to now, it didn't make sense to close it with a border. No matter what their intentions were, no matter what they were actually going to do, it just made no sense.
Now,
the sad part is
of an emphasis. There were plenty of breadcrumbs throughout for the border bombers, but we didn't put much emphasis on it because it wasn't the story we were focusing on telling.
Yeah.
So, like, if somebody ran this and they decided to try to be a little bit more, focus a little bit more, well, maybe like emphasize a bit more a lot of the border bomber stuff, then it would have been a cool, oh fuck, what happened? Because at least it would feel like there was a narrative build up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you actually use those the way that they're written in the book, then it makes sense. And I think it's well written. But it's so easy to not focus on that part of the plot because there's already a well-developed plot to tell.
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. You're given a lot of tools, a lot of toys, a lot of things for this campaign, start to finish. There is so much. It's actually really well written, I think, because it basically says, here's everything, you figure out the rest. Here's the overarching meta. Here is the overall progress for each of these individual missions that you can run in any particular order you want, so you can generate your own storylines from start to finish and interweave all this and interweave all that. Amazing. To the point, in fact, where there's a few times where I'm like, holy fuck, what am I going to do? And I had to actually sit down and put forth a significant amount of mental energy to actually come up with an idea of bridging from where we have been to where I want to go. And to be clear, that's on me, not on the producers of this book. Very well done, very awesome that they put so much in there, because as a GM, it can be really hard, and every one of us has GM before. It can be really hard to come up with everything for your own campaign, even if it's not a homebrew, even if you're putting in something that, a Forgotten Realms campaign. There's plenty of stuff there, but you still got to come up with all the goddamn things that the players are going to do. This book did all that for you, gave you everything, and you, as the GM, obviously can pick and choose what you do and don't use. And the Border Bombers were a good catalyst for the program, for the entire project. They didn't come up a lot throughout the rest of the story, and to close the story with Border Bombers showing up and wiping the slate clean just didn't seem to make fucking sense.
Now, I think what could have made them a better or more enticing inclusion would have been if we did the freebie mission that we skipped.
Yes.
I call it a freebie mission because it would have been so disgustingly easy. It would have just been farming XP and giving Pike a nuclear weapon.
Are you talking about the Arcturian whatever?
Yeah. Like, there's no way Pike by himself at that point could have stealthed that entire mission. It just murdered everybody. Like, it would have been so disgustingly easy.
I think doing the Starship mission was a lot better anyway. Excuse me.
I think so too.
For a number of reasons.
Part of where we go on that Arcturian mission includes a bunch of stuff that would have been that escalation of hints for the Border Bombers. That would have been a really big deal and would have made it make a lot more sense. But we didn't, so we didn't really have that escalation.
It would have tied in some of the Maitland things that I was trying to resurrect at a certain point.
It would have made your ending scene make more sense for people too.
Yes, it would have, but I'm leaving that open. So it's just the way it is. I'm not going to explain shit about it. You will figure it out in the next series.
I won't say anything about that. What I will say,
they were mentioned a couple of times previously. I want to point that out. There was very specific moments they were mentioned. They just, again, similar to the Border Bombers, that particular element was not brought up to light often enough to make a central theme or a central conflict. But they were mentioned enough.
Is in the Arcturian mission, we would have ended up in engineer ruins.
Oh, yes.
It's like previously we discovered the flute and we had the ampules. Like, that would have been the escalation of, well, what is this weird shit underground with the head statue and stuff. So that's part of the written progression for the Border Bombers.
Yes. Yeah. And there's obviously decisions were made along the way that arbitrarily removed some of the Border Bomber content from our story, and ultimately it didn't make much difference. Had I had them show up, it would have been a weird, what the fuck was the point of all that then? Which sometimes, frankly, life is like that, but not typically in a story that you're telling.
The only regret I have is I didn't get to learn the music.
You didn't what?
I didn't get to learn the music. There's no way Pike wouldn't have been like, I wonder what this is. Put the fucking headset on. And he can't pass the will save, so he's gonna learn it.
Oh, that must be something else I never read in that mission. The Arcturian.
You should go back and read it. It's fun.
I should. I've looked through it a couple of times, but I haven't picked it apart like I would for prepping.
The short answer, because Pike is impulsive and stupid, by the end of that mission, he probably would have been able to understand engineer music.
Okay. Anybody's been able to figure out the genetic sequencing and all that shit? Well, not so much the genetic sequencing, but knowing that the DNA and the music are very closely intertwined.
I think the way it's written is when you hear the music, you understand it as a language.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Pike is dumb.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've been sitting here long enough. I now have a second character sheet.
Nice.
All filled in, ready to go.
Well, we have.
Well, I say character sheet. I already had it.
We have
Yeah.
been jaw-jacking for over an hour. Let me ask this
So-
final question for each of you, and I'll go one at a time. I'll start with Rodance, who looks like she's about to say something else. So please throw this in with the answer to this question. Any final thoughts for this campaign thus far?
The more I go, the worse I feel for Wescott. Poor girl. I feel so so bad for her. She kept getting walked into the, well, this isn't gonna be good. Well, your life is gonna suck. Wow.
The
Kept
longer
getting
she
worse and worse.
the longer she survives, the more she suffers for surviving.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there was something else I think you were gonna say.
Yeah, she if there's a way, she will steal the rifle to go with her, but I have a feeling they're very carefully not going to let her keep that.
Having served and knowing how weapons are secured traditionally, I can't see a way for you to get away with that. Not without ending up in jail.
She is very sad about that.
Yeah, I mean, on the plus side, I don't know what
Look,
the
they
rules
took
are.
all of her context stuff away, so she's gonna have to buy it with payment.
Yeah, but
with
you
money
can
now.
easily get like the civilian corporate version of all of that, including weapons. Show
Yeah.
up with a what is it, FW-90 assault rifle or something like that. No, it's not FW. It's you know what I'm trying to say, the Three World Empire assault rifle.
Mhm.
Oh,
It's like
I can see it in my head. I just can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the specific letter
Yeah,
number
she's gonna end
combination
up
on
with
it.
a handgun and binoculars as her starting items plus whatever money I roll for her.
Luke, same question for you, my friend. Any final thoughts for this campaign?
After considered carefully, it actually went really well. Over the course of a year and a half, I've gotten to know you guys really well, and I hope that the second season goes really well also. And let's do a group photo.
Could go the ship one
I'm serious.
at a time, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Aww.
Oh, hey. I hope that comes through well, because usually cameras don't take good images of screens.
Um,
You'll have to post
You
it
know,
in
that's what the
Discord,
print
though.
screen button on your computer's for, right?
Yeah, really.
Just go. Just
actually
zoom and
quite
just
good.
hit the print screen.
Let's
Now,
see
of
here.
course, we can't see. Oh, it doesn't look terrible.
It looks a lot better, but the fact that it looks that bad on the webcam means that it's really good, like in actual shots.
Yeah. Throw that in Discord so we can get a look at that, would you?
Yeah.
Kane. Final thoughts for the campaign. You got anything?
When I ran this campaign, the longest survivor made it to the final session and died. Everybody else played like 3 or 4 characters. It was super high lethality.
Damn.
So
I
when we
almost feel like I
started
was failing
this,
you guys somewhere in that regard.
well, no. So when we started this campaign, I specifically built Pike to give us a chance at survival, but because that's the big thing, right? Like playing the AW made a huge difference for us in combat.
Yeah.
Because the AW is gross.
It's a fucking tank, literally.
And I focused him super hard on combat because that's the most dangerous part of the game. So I tried really hard. And as much as like, I killed way more people than you did, they weren't as prepared for it, and they didn't have a player dedicated entirely to thwarting my plans at killing the players.
I mean, well, shit. The one time I actually almost legitimately had to like, ooh, let me roll this back a little because I'm about to have a fucking total party kill, like absolute no bullshit, didn't even try, was during the spaceship seizing mission, where the Blackguard rushed your position and took everybody out except for Pike, who was another level up, and he came back down and managed to roll well enough, not just roll, but roll well enough to literally kill the entire Blackguard rushing team. You killed 4 Blackguard in like 1 round.
Yeah.
And managed
And like
single-handedly to save the rest of your team. That moment, holy motherfuck! I really thought I was about to kill people, like, and not be able to roll it back. I got nervous. I was like, There was 4. I remember this because there was 4 Blackguard, 2 from the north, 2 from the south, and they all. I was like,
They
I'm gonna rush them,
opened up.
and
They
I was gonna
opened
rush,
up
and they
on my.
all pushed in. And when I made that final attack and took down the 4th of 4 people on that floor, I was like, ooh, the only thing saving you guys is because you guys have critical hits. If you guys had been
Yeah.
NPCs, you'd have been dead. Period.
Mhm.
And then here comes Pike, just blowing away the opposition.
It's like the thing isn't the criticals that kill you. Some of them can for sure, but they're pretty rare on the crit table. What kills the players is when they're left off screen in that crippled state, so they story die, right? Like somebody gets a critical that's like they got a shattered foot, but we're all running away from like the queen, so we
Mhm.
leave that person on the ground and run away. Well, they narratively die.
Yeah.
That's the
Mm.
toughest thing. It's like if it goes badly, you really can't recover. You've got to bail. Which is why Pike was built to be that staying power to make sure that we could sit on the crits and nobody had to story die,
Caution
except
has
when you get shot in the face and knocked unconscious and avoid.
avoid. Hashin has presented a challenge for you, Kane.
Oh
Well,
boy.
I think he's meaning it for me, but I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
What is he saying?
He says,
Let me
"Teach
go
me the
look at the
system, and
chat.
I will try. I will try to anti-Pike for you."
Hey, I thought I anti-piked fairly well.
I
Thank
think
you very
he's meaning
much.
for me to.
What does anti-Pike mean?
I think he means for me to defeat your attempts to defeat my attempts.
An inward angled dagger.
I mean, all we gotta do is run a game, let Omar play,
Nice.
and then kill his character a few times, and
Except for when you invite Omar and he builds a rogue that's all around combat and not rogue.
Teach me the system and I will try and
I've
anti-Pike.
built
So
I've built
it's
combat rogues.
Because
there's
that character was specifically meant as a character concept to be an assassin.
Well,
so it's not very hard to kill Pike. The thing is, I know those things and I try to avoid them, and I know the system much better than you do.
And take them out at range, like Praetorians, for instance.
Oh, yeah. But like,
well, I mean, he's a
there,
sniper for a reason.
Yeah.
yeah. So there's,
yeah.
I mean, there's Pike is far from invincible, but the tactics that I used and I tried to do it with everybody else, mitigated a lot of risk. And I think the stuff that I know about how to run the bad guys in the system, that some of which you did and some of which you didn't, also would have made things a lot harder for Pike.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a. I'm not an expert in this system. I know enough to get by, and then I rely on you guys to fill in the gaps. To this day, I could not tell you the difference, whether by definition or example, the difference between fast and slow actions. Other than
I've run.
one is
I've
obviously things you can undo pretty quick, and others it takes a little bit longer. I just let you guys run it. I feel like the narrative is the better option.
I've run 4 full campaigns in this system.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've used all the enemies and all the books that were out at the time. Like I dealt with different kinds of players creatively solving problems in different ways. So I got to learn how to defeat all of that, which helped me play Pike smarter.
Yeah.
So
and I don't think I was like terribly. I don't think I was ever super crafty with any crazy shit I was throwing at you. Pretty straightforward, I would think. Even though I definitely was making an effort to like limit information you had based solely on what would your character actually know.
Yeah, and for some of it, it's chance, right? Like if you don't roll any instant kills on your enemies, then they don't use any instant kills. But at the same time, like you don't have to be malicious. You can like sometimes you drop 10 Xenos in a room and everybody just fucking wastes them because they just hiss at each other until they die. And sometimes you drop 1 Xeno into the middle of the group while they're sleeping and it kills the entire party and nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's just random luck on the critter choice
I
table,
definitely
which is wild.
I definitely had a number of combat rolls of my own throughout several missions that just didn't go my way. And that is just the way it is. On that note, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead,
I
was just gonna say it was interesting building a complementary character to Pike's I'm going to be a murder death machine.
Yeah.
Because the way Luke and I handled it was different. It was kind of interesting.
It was interesting watching the dynamic between the three main characters, even as the three main characters shifted slightly through play because lost Winston, um, but seeing Warren kind of move into that primary slot, I think it was really good. I certainly absolutely enjoyed this series. I am a little trepidatious, nervous, anxious for how I'm going to put together the next one because I not so much that I need to top this, but I definitely need to put it in the same caliber. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
And when I was running these campaigns, this new one that we're going to do didn't exist, so I know nothing. I have not seen any enemy sheets or anything. I'm completely in the dark.
I haven't taken a lot of look. I mean, obviously for the last year and a half, because I got both books at the same time. I have spent far more time in the CMOM than I have in the B3 or BBW, whatever. I don't want to say that.
We'll talk offline about the Foundry thing.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about that too. But I will say this. So as we get ready to wrap this up, first I want to say thank you to everybody, especially my players, because I couldn't do it without them. Additionally, also Kane specifically, some extra kudos in there because it's his Foundry that we're using, and I really super appreciate that because doing this in TTS, I could have done it, but it would have taken more effort to maintain this entire process. So thank you for that as well. And then obviously to the viewers, because if we didn't have viewers every week, it'd be just us playing for ourselves, which is cool. We would do that. I've done that. Got no problem with that. But obviously I come here on Twitch to stream it, to show everybody else things, and hopefully my goal of course is that everybody has fun and that everybody enjoys what we do here and that everybody gets a chance to take something that they see happen here, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, and they can add it to their own toolbox for their own tables out there. And with that in mind, my final thought before I do my final thought sounded really give us a couple of weeks and we will be back with Beyond the Frontier. Those that don't know, I've had that name in my pocket for a year and a half now. It was going to be Along the Frontier and then Beyond the Frontier. But give us a couple of weeks so we can get everything set up and we can get everything right the way we want it. Come back in a few weeks and we can kick this thing off and have the continuation of these 3 or 4 characters and the wonderful weird bullshit that they have to deal with because aliens are fucking everywhere. That's pretty much the gist of this. That's the main theme of this entire franchise. The entire alien thing is everything not from Earth is weird and dark and scary. It's the fear of the unknown. That is at the core of this entire process. With that said, though, this world is a crazy dark place. So make sure you're doing what you got to do to take care of you and yours. As for me and mine, we're out of here. We'll see you in a few weeks. Also, you can always just come by and anytime we're streaming it. Otherwise, it won't always be us. Anyway, stay safe, my friends. We'll see you next time.